Yo, what's good, y'all? The Toronto Raptors go into Indiana feeling themselves a little bit, probably. Walk in there thinking they're kings of the East, rolling 6-1 over the last seven. And you're going up against a team that I believe, honestly, is massively underperforming. A team that has two very good players in Andrew Nembhard and Pascal Siakam, and not a lot else. Not a lot else. We're not going to lie to you. Aaron Nesmith is out. Tyrese Haliburton is out. Benedict Mathurin is out. This is a team that is going the wrong way, and this is a trap game. This is a game that immature teams that maybe don't understand what's at stake here will drop easily. This is a game that you could have lost, and you come out in the first quarter and you're kind of playing with your food a little bit. Defensive effort is choppy. Offensive process is ball hogging. Not the greatest start to this game. And then the bench comes in, and like it has before, and the time before, and the time before, and the time before, the bench shows the starters how to play basketball. And I think specific credit needs to go to Jamal Shead for that. I think specific credit needs to go to Sandro Mamukelashvili for that, because when the bench came in that little mixed lineup, that's when this game really started to break open. There's a couple of points in this game where it was very sloppy. It was very sloppy effort for the Toronto Raptors. And then somewhere towards the second half, it was like a 7-point game. And Scottie Barnes was just not assertive tonight, barely looking to score, passing up wide open shots, just set up teammates for threes, throws a, pass to Ingram when he has a wide open layup, throws a pass to RJ when he has a wide open layup. And we're just like, okay, I understand setting up your teammates, but man, that's a wide open layup. Come on, man. You got it. You gotta score. But at the same time, this was a 7-point game. Scottie Barnes, goes to the scorer's table. Brandon Ingram goes to the line. And 3 plays in a row, and this game was over so fast. So fast, this game was over. We're going to take a look at those plays. We're going to look at the entire, game. It was a very, very good game for a lot of players on this team. A little bit of a mixed game for a couple players on this team. But it was nice to see RJ Barrett hitting shots again. He had a couple of really cool shots. Nice to see the 3 going down again. Nice to see Jakob Poeltl looking healthy and mobile out there. How many times has Scottie Barnes and Jakob Poeltl connected on that, forward to center? Like I'm personally, I'm just not sure how Jakob Poeltl keeps getting behind the defense, but he's so good at it, and running in transition is just not something he could do early in the season. He was slow, he was sluggish, but right now, Jakob Poeltl looks good. Uh, the Pacers elect to waste everybody's time for some reason playing hack-a-yak, which rhymes amazingly. Hack-a-yak. They play hack-a-yak with a center who doesn't even shoot below 50% from the field, from the free throw line, and they put him at the line an ungodly number of times. And I don't understand it. The game was totally out of the balance. It was like a 20-point game, and they're hacking yak. I don't get it. I think Rick Carlisle has a great sense of humor. Clearly delayed this game by more than 10 minutes for no reason whatsoever. There were reviews on that offensive foul on Pascal Siakam that was turned into a defensive foul on Scottie Barnes. Scottie Barnes gets scraped up, whatever. There's a lot of talk right now about when have the Raptors been this good? When's the last time the Raptors were this good? I'll share a stat with you. We are now 13 games into this season. Correct? We are 8-5. Correct. The math checks out on that. 8 plus 5 equals 13. I may be underslept, but I know 8 plus 5 equals 13. That's 13 games. The last time the Raptors had a record of greater than 3 games over 500 after 13 games, anyone want to guess when it was? You are incorrect. It was not 2022. It was not 2021. It was not 2020. It was 2019. You had not heard, probably most of you had not heard of a pandemic. Huh. Why are y'all saying 22? 22, 23? Was it? Hang on. Let's check. Let's check this out. One sec. Let me fact check myself. So y'all saying 22, 22, 23? Nope. They were 7-6 after 13 games. They were 7-6. So I bring you back in time. Let's confirm. Nope. Let's confirm. Nope. That was Tampa. This is the season I'm talking about right here. You were 9-4. OG Anunoby scored 24 points. Chris Boucher grabbed 11 rebounds. And Marc Gasol had 9 assists. That is the last time you started out this well. What am I doing here? Sorry. Here. This is where we're at. Sorry. I didn't realize I wasn't sharing the screen. November 18th, 2019. We had not had a stoppage. We had not heard of a pandemic. Most of us hadn't heard of a pandemic, or most of us had not lived through a pandemic, especially a global one. 2019, 2020. And I'll remind you that that season, we were one Pascal Siakam not taking 4 months off from basketball away from possibly going to the finals. It is impressive that the Raptors have started out this well. It is even more impressive that they've started out this well against a pretty stiff competition. Now, you have some easy games up, and I understand that there's probably a fan out there who thinks it's the Indiana Pacers. They're 1-12, 1-11, whatever. They're not a good team. And I agree with you. They're not a good team. But you know what? The Chicago Bulls in 1996 beat the crap out of not very good teams. They did not let them sit in games. They went out there and they were professional. The Golden State Warriors, when they were racking up 73 wins, they beat the piss out of bad teams. Good teams beat on bad teams 75% of the time. Great teams beat bad teams 98% of the time. The Toronto Raptors are showing you that they want to be a great team. Are they a great team? No idea. Probably not. But this is a team that is currently getting there slowly. They're a young team. They're one of the youngest teams in the league. You may not know that from how long some of these guys have been in the NBA, but I will share the standings with you here before we take a look at the film breakdown and the stats and whatever for this. The Raptors are now 8-5. They're tied with the Atlanta Hawks, whom they have beat twice. So why they are not fourth in the standing, I don't understand. But if the season were to end today, the Raptors would have home court over Atlanta because they would have home court advantage. But that being said, the Toronto Raptors are fourth in the East right now, and there's no end in sight. The Cleveland Cavaliers are playing awful basketball. The New York Knicks are very injured without Jalen Brunson, and there is a real chance here. You are half a game out of New York and Cleveland, the two teams that I put 1 and 3 in my power rankings the other day. I had the Raptors at 5th in my power rankings, and now they are technically 4th in the standings. There's something at stake here. You know what's at stake here? Okay, Shannon, I appreciate you, dude, but if you bring toxic energy into this live, bro, like you are getting timed out. Like go like, I don't know, go look at your RJ poster and just chill. No one's talking bad about RJ. Relax. Nobody cares. If people are upset that Scottie didn't score 20, it's probably because they bet on this game. Just let them chill. I don't care about the comments. I'm just kind of sick and tired of you kind of like, making the whole thing about RJ, and then everyone responds to you and makes the whole thing about RJ. I'm personally just tired of it. Just chill. This is not an RJ superfan channel. This is a Raptors channel. We're not talking about RJ versus Scottie today. It's not a conversation. We don't need to talk about it. We could just relax, right? Like, we can just chill. We're talking about the Raptors being a good team, okay? We're talking about the Raptors being half a game out from your hometown New York Knicks, okay? Not where I thought this team would be 13 games in. Listen, I made a video crazily saying the Raptors are going to be a 50-win team. They're currently, by the way, on pace for like 55 wins. 55 wins. I didn't anything about RJ. It's a Scottie channel. Okay, bro. Like, you can just fucking chill, bro. Like, I'm so done with you. This is okay. Yeah. We didn't do film breakdowns on Mobo. We didn't make a video about RJ. We don't talk about BI. We only talk about Scottie here. Yep. Let's talk about Scottie Barnes, man. Like, honestly, to the chat, I'm going to suggest something to you. If you want to make your viewing experience, I'm not going to ban you. I'm not going to ban you. I'm not going to kick you. I'm not going to do whatever. You want to call in later, talk about it. Honestly, we get to you later. If you want to make your chat experience a little bit less repetitive, just block. You can block individual users. You can do that. Okay. All right. Let's get to it. So, yes, the Toronto Raptors do the professional thing, which is they roast the Indiana Pacers. If you want to look at how close this game was, yes, there was a time when the Raptors were down 10, 22-12. The defense was shit. Pascal Siakam had a great game tonight, 30 points on very efficient shooting. Very efficient, right? And honestly, if you want to be conspiratorial about it, we didn't have Jameson Battle. And if we had lost the game, I'd be like, we didn't have Jameson Battle. That's why we lost the game. The Toronto Raptors couldn't buy a three tonight. Really, they just couldn't. Right? They just were not hitting the way they have been hitting. They were one of the top 3-point shooting teams in the league. We knew that number was not going to hold. That's 3-point shooting talent is not there for that to hold. Tonight they get outshot from three. They do win the rebound battle, and I think that is a huge adjustment that the team has made. Is they are more aggressively crashing the glass, and that's on everybody. That's a healthy Jakob Poeltl. That's Scottie Barnes. That's RJ Barrett. That's literally everybody getting on the glass. So tonight you get a balanced effort. You get 11 rebounds from Scottie. You get 9 from Jakob. You get 6 from RJ. You get 5 from Brandon Ingram. This is what you need, right? You get 6 off the bench from Grady Dick, which is like wow. Okay, cool. 19 minutes. He's a pretty decent rebounder. Get on the glass, man. Help your team out. And Grady, honestly, were it not for those garbage time minutes, probably some of those guys like Sandro Mamukelashvili, Grady Dick, guys who were on the court, probably would have had like aggressive plus minuses, like plus 22, plus 23, because they cooked in their first few stints. Jacoby Walter made a really interesting play in transition in garbage time. Good to see it, but he didn't really play the hugest part in tonight's rotation. But he was scrappy. He was really scrappy. There was a play where he's fronting the post and he gets a little tip. There's a play where he creates a deflection, and I believe he got a steal and another steal, and he got 3 steals tonight. So he was very scrappy, and the Raptors needed a little bit of scrap tonight. They welcomed back Colin Murray-Boyles into the lineup, and he had a really good game. He had 10 points, 2 rebounds, 1 assist, and overall, just in 17 minutes, I think he made a positive effort. He was great. Connectivity, RJ found him for a wide open dunk in transition, that little alley-oop. It was great. Sandro Mamukelashvili, again, like I made a tweet earlier saying, give him the keys to the city, give him a max, give him 6th man of the year, give him everything, because when this guy steps on the court, it is an automatic tone shift in the entire game. It's not just him, though. It's really Jamal Shead. And 7 points and 4 assists, you'd be so silly to forgive. I would forgive you if you didn't think Jamal Shead had an amazing game. You'd be like, oh, 1 for 4 from 3. I was checking out this podcast with Louis Zatzman and Samson Folk, great podcast over on Raptors Republic that they did, where they were talking about the impact of Jamal Shead. And they talked about how the team is just this amazing thing happens when he gets on the court, which is the team starts getting more points at the rim. The team starts getting more threes. And it's just like, that's him. That's him. That's him organizing the offense. That's him breaking down the defense. That's him penetrating. That's him seeing gaps. He is just an insanely smart player. And when he comes in, he's so steady. He's so consistent. If the jump shooting ever comes around, you legitimately have the best backup point guard in the league. I don't even think that's hyperbole. He's really up there. And his athleticism, his point of attack defense, getting into the ball, bothering that thing that he learned from Davion Mitchell, where he tries to bait the foul on the screen. He is just so good. He's so good. The numbers do him absolutely zero justice. In terms of the starting lineup, we get another fairly competent game from Immanuel Quickley. Not the hot shooting transition 3. He missed a couple of those, but overall, there were a couple plays, one to end the third quarter, one to end the second quarter, where they just kind of gave him the ball, cleared out, set a play for somebody else, but he ended up, taking a shot at the rim and finishing competently. I think if you're looking at weaknesses in the Indiana Pacers, it's defense. Obviously, it's not a good defensive team. It was a terrible defensive team. And pretty much every single Raptor benefited from that going to the rim. The Raptors scored at will in the paint tonight. Brandon Ingram, again, I don't really love BI's game tonight. I'm not going to complain about it. He competed defensively, kept his shot total, down 19 points on 12 shots is not a problem for me at all. I think some of his process early in the game was a little bit rough. Let it come to you. But I have to kind of train my eyes to realize he doesn't really operate by the same rules that everybody else on this roster does. Like for real. Like he doesn't. Like he is a different level of skill and it shows. And it shows in terms of the defensive coverages. It shows in terms of how defenses respond to him. It shows in terms of how he shifts defenses in terms of like creating pockets of space for other players. I do kind of miss the passing that he was doing last year. And I do wish that he would go a little bit more to that, right? Like I do wish that. Like, I do wish that he would look to play make a little bit more because I think he's such a gifted playmaker. And sometimes he will take three players to the basket and just try to score. And tonight, kudos. They don't really have anybody that can guard him, honestly. Pascal rarely guarded him, and I don't think Pascal can guard him. And I've kind of been on record couple of years now, 3 years in a row, saying I think Brandon Ingram's more talented than Pascal Siakam. Then again, I also said we should trade for Pascal Siakam as a third player on this team. So, yes, I'm a little bit torn in terms of these guys, but I appreciate both their games. Very interesting to watch them on the court together. But, decent game for BI. Shaky start to RJ Barrett for me, like in the game, like in the first quarter. I really didn't like what I saw. But somewhere in the end of the first, beginning of the second, he really started to cook. Found that little floater around the basket, found a couple of left-hand finishes in transition, hit an open three, and he ended up with 13 points at the half and finishes the game with 22 points. Nice to see him, kind of getting back to it. Would love to see him get back to the free throw line and start hitting some of those free throws. 1 for 4 is not great. So he's sort of like fighting himself at the free throw line a little bit. That's tough, right? Like typically you're expecting your bigs, who have the big hands, long arms to be like tough free throw shooters. You don't expect that from your guards. I'm kind of hoping that you don't lose a close game late because of something like this. I watched last night. Last night we were on playback watching the San Antonio Spurs versus the Golden State Warriors, and it was like 3 mistakes in a row by De'Aaron Fox. And right now, like fans are absolutely destroying that dude because it's like missed shot, bad defensive possession, and it's just like sometimes when these games get really close, that's when things get exposed. And when you're blowing out teams by 25, 30 points, like the Raptors were tonight with the Pacers, and it's end to end, these things kind of get ignored, right? Scottie Barnes, I didn't love the game from Scottie Barnes either. I'm gonna be honest. I made a live yesterday around midnight talking about all the things that I think are Scottie needs to fix in his game. And every single thing I talked about, shout outs to you guys if you watch that. Everything I talked about in that video showed up today. Everything. Avoiding contact, being passive, picking up your dribble too much, being too deferential. Every single thing that I do not like about Scottie's offensive process tonight came up. What was good tonight was the playmaking. He was dope as a passer in transition. He was great as a rebounder on the backside. He was competing. Defense was not great, but very good defensively. So yeah, that's sort of how I feel about them. In terms of the Pacers, I mean, they really had 2 players who genuinely showed up. The Raptors had 7 players in double digits: Colin Murray-Boyles, Sandro Mamukelashvili, and all the starters. 4 starters not named Scottie Barnes. Scottie Barnes still had 6 points early third. He actually ended up stat padding a little bit, if I'm being honest. Scottie was like stat padding, not really stat padding, but like he got a couple of like bunnies towards the end of the game, that drive on J Huff for the dunk. Also, shout outs to Scottie Barnes. He scored his 5,000th point, uh, not just as a Raptor, just in his career tonight on a pair of free throws that he hit. So shout outs to him. And he did get to the line more. That's also something that I haven't really loved about his game. And he got fouled a lot tonight. So getting to the line 9 times was a great thing for him. Ingram also got to the line 9 times. The Raptors haven't been great again to the line overall. They get to the line 42 times tonight, and that really helped them. Probably want to see them hit a few more of those. In terms of the team stats, just overall, both teams take 87 shots, but the Raptors shoot 55% from the field. Doesn't matter that they end up shooting much worse from 3 because the Pacers don't exactly shoot lights out from 3 either, and they take far more threes. The Raptors obviously get to the line a hell of a lot more, and yet they only make 4 or less threes. So they got to the line 15 more times and only made four more. So that kind of sucked too. They crashed the glass. They win the assist margin. They don't crack 30, which is kind of a testament, like against a really bad defense, that you don't crack 30 assists shows me that you were going a lot more one-on-one. 29 assists on 48 field goals. This is not a recipe for typical Raptor success, if I'm being honest. It's just not. But Nevertheless, this is not a great defensive team. You don't need to overpass. Let some of your players, score some baskets. The Raptors rack up 13 steals to the Pacers 5 to get 3 blocks. They limit their turnovers, and in terms of points in the paint, I think no surprise, the Raptors get 78 points in the paint against a team that has J Huff and, honestly has a couple of 7-footers that I trust a little bit to block some shots, but it wasn't working. Nothing worked for this team tonight, if I'm being honest. Tony Bradley, Jarris Walker, Jeremiah Robinson Earl. Like, I was very high on Jarris Walker coming into that draft, and I watch him today, and I'm just like, I don't know what I saw. I don't know what I saw. He does not look good. And in terms of like comparing him to a player that is like him a little bit, maybe similar profile in terms of, like a big forward wing type of player, I think CMB looked so much better than Jarris Walker. And it's shocking because Jarris is like entering his 3rd season right now. And CMB just thoroughly outplayed the hell out of him. So let's take a look at the film and then we will take your calls if there are any calls. So shout outs to the 430 of you that are in here. If you could hit like on this video, a little ball will bounce, and I will very, very much appreciate it. And please consider becoming a member. We are chasing very hard. We are chasing that 200 member mark. If you are a member and you don't know this is actually kind of cool. You have a member chat every month for when you are a member. Some of you actually don't know this because I know I haven't seen 200 member chats go off or 192 member chats go off. So all you have to do is go to that little chat button that has the $sign, and it'll actually show you super chat, super sticker. Actually, I should show you here. Give me 1 second here. No, I'll show you later. Okay, let's get to this. Also, shout outs to this community for knowing ball. I said settle this debate for me, but really think about it. De'Aaron Fox is A. And yesterday got into a huge debate on playback about how good De'Aaron Fox is. I don't think De'Aaron Fox is even close to a top 5 point guard in the league. I think there's so many point guards better than him. I think Maxi's better than him. I think Garland's better than him. Trey Young's better than him. LaMelo's better than him. I think so many players are better than him. And yet, Ox and Chill were really pushing back. So shout out to this community for knowing ball, man. 19% of you said he's not a top 15 point guard. I don't think y'all know ball. But 49% of you, I think, came to the right conclusion that he's about a top 15 point guard. And that's probably accurate. Top 5 point guard is honestly insane. A little quote. This is from a year ago, but when Pascal was traded, this is a quote that Scottie Barnes shared. I hadn't read this before, so this was news to me. He said, he meant a lot to me, meant a lot to his organization. He's been here his whole life, all the effort, dedication, hard work he put in here. He showed us love every single day. I love him as a brother. It hurts, but you got to keep moving on. So shout outs to Scottie Barnes for, having a lot of love for Pascal Siakam. There's no love lost between those two. And I know that, as much as this community and other communities fought over whose team it should be, and, Pascal's in the way and all this stuff, for all of that sentiment, all of that stuff, I know that Scottie really loved Pascal and OG and Precious and Chris and Christian. Like, there are certain teammates that he just has a lot of love for and a deep connection with. And Scottie's a sentimental dude, So, yeah. Okay. I said, dear Scottie Barnes, you were open, signed your conscience. Okay. Look at this. Pascal Siakam, Cone. Okay. Freeze frame this right here. The score is 0-0. This is the first offensive possession for the Raptors. What? You not taking this shot said everything about like what kind of night you were about to have. Like, you didn't care. Like, Scottie didn't care about scoring at all tonight. And I don't get it personally, and I'm okay with it, but don't let me. I would hate to see that he would do this in a game that really mattered, like a game that mattered, or a game that was against stiff competition. And I'm sure if the Raptors got down like 6-7 at the half, he would come in and totally turn it up. But it's like, don't pick and choose when you're going to do this. This is a habit thing. This is a habit chain. You've got to break the habit chain of passing up open layups. Like, you just can't. It's like, you want to pride yourself on being a high IQ basketball player. Passing up layups is the lowest IQ thing you can possibly ever do. They literally cooked Ben Simmons for this for like 2 years, passing up that layup. You can't get into this mindset of this is a pass, this is a shot. No, let the defense decide. The defense doesn't rotate here. You cannot miss this shot if you try. But you know who can miss this shot? The guy you pass to. So shout outs. But this is a bad play. You pass to Brandon Ingram. Ingram gets a 3. You're trying to be a good teammate. You want to be a good teammate? Put 2 points on the board. This is nuts. This is a bad decision. And I hated it. I hated every second of that bullshit right there. Okay. I said Toronto is doing everything to lose this game. Watch this. Okay. Again, the Raptors are down 10 here. Right? So CMB is closing the drive here. RJ Barrett needs to, like, if Emmanuel Quickley is not going to chase here, RJ Barrett cannot get stuck watching from behind. You're not doing anything. And there's a wide open shooter coming up in the corner here. Now, you don't even see him, which is the scary part, because your head doesn't even turn to him until the pass is made. At which point, this is too late. You do nothing. You're not, like, bro, you might as well be in another gym. You might as well just go sit with the crowd. You're not bothering the shot. But the point is, this is not, look, sometimes open shots are created. Sometimes, you know, the offense does something to get an open shot. The offense didn't do anything to get an open shot here. And you're not surrendering an open shot because it's not TJ McConnell. The Raptors backed off of TJ McConnell multiple times. The only time that they closed out to him was one time when Grady Dick decided to guard TJ McConnell. But this is not a 3 that you want to give up. A wide open corner 3 for a really good 3-point shooter last year is a bad idea. And here the Raptors just willingly give this up. Now, I don't care that this misses. I've told you, I don't care about makes or misses. You could, if you take 40 good shots in a game and you miss 35 of them, I'll say you had a good night. I don't care that you missed. Once again, I say they're just missing shots. The Raptors defense has not shown up and their offense has devolved into Ingram ball. So again, the Raptors are down 8 here. It happens, man. OKC was tied almost going into the half against Charlotte today. It does happen. But once again, this is the off-ball defense we talk about with RJ Barrett. Like, you can't just give up Ben Shepherd open 3s in the corner and once again go sit in the crowd. Like, you're not doing anything to bother this. Like, this is an NBA 3-point shooter. This is a guy who made this shot, this exact same shot in the finals last year. You have to be a little bit more prepared. Okay, CMB to BI. I like this connection, man. This is the value of big playmakers. Here, Brandon Ingram is just going to beat his man, little bump here, and CMB with a one-hand pass. Nobody is going to stop him, and you get an and one finish. This is the Brandon Ingram that I like to see. Okay, I said, give Mamukelashvili the max, give him the key to the city, give him 6th man of the year, give him everything because he deserves it, man. This is Mamu's first play coming into the game, okay? The Raptors are down by 5. Bye-bye. Bad pass. Mamu picks it off, saw this play the whole way coming. Elite. Just, he's sneaky athletic. He's not vertical, man. But like sometimes, I'm not drawing this as a one-to-one stylistic comparison, but he gives me like serious Manu Ginobili vibes. You know, he may be Mamu, but he giving me Manu vibes. Okay. I've never thought about Manu thing, but you know, 6th man comes off the bench, total energy, totally changes the complexion of the game, quick attacks, off the dribble, good jump shooter. Yo, Manu Ginobili, man. He is Manu Ginobili right now. Okay. That's meant as no disrespect to Manu Ginobili. I want to let you know, I genuinely think Manu Ginobili was like a top 3 to top 4 shooting guard of his entire generation. So no, I don't think Mamu is that. But in terms of impact, in terms of changing the complexion of the game, in terms of quick attacks, yeah, man, he's doing Manu Ginobili shit. Okay. This play between 3 of your smartest players. I love this lineup, by the way. The Scottie, CMB, Jamal Shead, Sandro Mamukelashvili lineup with Grady Dick. This lineup synergistically rocks. They win minutes almost every single game. And there's a reason for that. Look at this. Look at how Mamukelashvili is stretching out the big. And what does that do? Well, Grady's guy can't leave him because Scottie will fling this pass cross court. He loves ball reversals. He loves to skip pass to the corner. You can't completely trust that he's not going to pass this to Mamu, even though he's looking the other direction. But he never misdirects this. Like he never gives you the clear sign that he's going to pass, but you know where this pass is going, makes that little pass window, and one, baby. No foul called for the Rook, unfortunately. And here, no big deal. 5,000 career points, third fastest Raptor to ever do it, I think, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong on that. Don't quote me. I think he's the third or fourth fastest Raptor to ever do it. I think Vince did it faster. Chris Bosh did it faster, but I can't think of anybody else who did it faster. Maybe if we're just talking just Raptors career, it might be Kyle Lowry or DeMar DeRozan definitely didn't do it fastest. Okay. I said Jamal Shead is one of the best backup point guards in the league, and this is why. Watch this. This was a totally broken play. They had no idea what they're doing. There's 11 seconds left on the clock. And look at this sort of like frenetic pace that he plays with here. Just takes, boom, that little one dribble, patiently waiting for it to open up. Little crossover. And what's happening? Takes that second defender, boom. Do you know who used to do this a lot? No, I'm not going to compare him to Kyle Lowry. You know who used to do this a lot? Rod Strickland. You know who else used to do this a lot? Mark Jackson. You know who else used to do this a lot? Jason Kidd. Heavy praise. But as a point guard coming up, I studied every point guard I could find, from Tim Hardaway to Isaiah Thomas to Allen Iverson to Eric Snow to Derek Fisher. Literally any point guard I can get tape on. I'm like, how are they doing it? How do they run a pick and roll? I think Jamal Shead mastered every tape that I watched growing up. That's the highest praise I can give to a point guard. It's like he has figured out how to manipulate angles. He's figured and he has barely any scoring gravity at all. His only advantage right now is that he's fast and he's shifty. Nick Van Exel, oh yeah, Nick the Quick, absolutely. I loved a lot of New York point guards, man. Shout out to Skip to My Lou, one of my favorite New York point guards. Man, like he's Stephon Marbury. Damn, like there's like a great energy that he plays with. It's hard to describe, it's hard to quantify, it's hard to put in a box score, but Jamal Shead just knows how to play basketball, man. Shout out to Scottie Barnes, man. I was watching this play live, and my girlfriend came and sat next to me, and I'll tell you right here, I said, watch this block. I said, watch this block. She's like, what? And by the time she said what, Scottie said, get the fuck out of here, man. I saw this shit coming from a mile away. And she's like, how'd you know? And I'm like, because he let him get there so he could block him. That's like a bait block. You know what I mean? That's like when you on a fast break and there's like a 6'8" guy behind you, and he's just kind of jogging along slowly because instead of stopping you from taking the shot, he wants to bait you into taking the shot so that he can get the block. That's a stat pad block, Scottie Barnes. I know that's a 2-time All-NBA guy, but that's a stat pad block if I've ever seen one, because Lord knows I saw that block coming from a mile away. I said, love this. Immanuel Quickley has really leveled up. Here, to end the second quarter, here we go. The Raptors are up by 7. Okay, you have a chance here. Jack Armstrong's yelling, you got to go quicker, you got to go quicker. And it's like precisely why you don't go quicker, right? Now, is this a great shot? It's all right. It's good, but he makes it. So we clap and we say salute. I told you early in the season, he is making these shots. This exact shot, this left hand up and under, the hop step gather, like everything that he is doing around the paint is way better than it was last year, way better than it was the year before. I talked a lot in last night's live about Scottie not being able to break old mental pathways and neural pathways and patterns of like, if I do this, then this. The muscle memory of Immanuel Quickley is floater, 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 floater. He just did it his whole life. A lot of undersized players go to floaters a lot. They don't finish strong. You see that. There's also, ironically, so like a lot of players who were a little bit undersized growing up, they play smaller than they are. And a lot of players who were really big when they were young, play a lot bigger than they really are. RJ Barrett is a good example of a player who plays way bigger than he is. He thinks he's like 6'8", 6'9", but he's not. Jamal Shead is a perfect example of a player who plays his height, but I think Emmanuel quickly plays smaller than he is. You know what I mean? He plays a lot smaller than he is. A lot smaller. It's almost like he doesn't know that he has a 6'9" wingspan. Jonathan Mobile sometimes plays smaller than he is. It's almost like he was a 5'11" point guard exiting high school, right? Someone saying he is 6'8". Who's 6'8"? RJ 6'8"? No, he is not. He is not 6'8". He is legit 6'5" and a half, 6'6". So my point here is that, like, I think that Emmanuel quickly had to break the habit of going to the floater, because when you're young and you're small, you go to the floater a lot. You finishing among a bunch of trees. You got to go strong. You got to go strong because you got to force the defense. As you get stronger, right? You got to go to that. Now, I understand the floater is a great option. You should have it in your bag, but it should not be the entire meal of what you're doing. It should be a part of it. It should be a counter if the paint is totally blocked up, or if you have it and it's wide open, they back off of you playing you at the rim. You got to have that in your bag. This is why you need counters. Okay. I said 13 points for RJ Barrett at the half, hopefully out of that slump. Okay, let's take a look at RJ's buckets here. Manuel quickly trying to do a good job on that screen, does a good enough job of getting RJ Barrett here. RJ takes the contact here, gets stuffed, but persistence, and Pascal Siakam with just quits on the play allows RJ Barrett to get that bucket, but good effort here. This is a pass, in my opinion. Like, I think this pass should go to Mamu because that's an open bucket for him. But risky pass. RJ decides, forget it. I'll do it myself. Here, little ghost screen there. Nice finish. Nice finish. Now, am I going to be critical and say you should have passed to Jacoby Walter? Hell no. Hell no. That's overcomplicating it for no reason. This is probably the best option you have. Passing back to CMB would be overpassing. Passing to Jacoby Walter is risky here and frankly of little benefit. There's nothing better on this play than you doing this, and you make it and you get back to your left hand. So that's good too. And here in transition, like it, man. Go strong, finish, hop through contact, go back to your left hand, and he finishes this one. And, this is just a feel-good game. And here, Emmanuel quickly slicing through the defense, gets his paint touch, and boom, Pascal Siakam doesn't close out in time. RJ Barrett gets the three. So, good stuff for Pascal Siakam. Here, a little sweet moment for Emmanuel quickly, changing out of his shoes. These kids allegedly also got shoes from Victor Oladipo a few days ago. So, shout outs to them. Hopefully they don't sell the shit on eBay, but they probably will. But cool, man. That's a story. Like, I remember one time Bret Hart gave me his glasses, and I was telling that story for like 4 years, man. So that's really cool. I mean, if you're a kid, obviously if you're sitting courtside, you probably got a lot of money. But I'm saying, like, I don't know if you got a lot of money if you're sitting borderline courtside on an Indiana Pacers game, but assume whatever. It's a cool experience when an NBA player throws his shoes at you and, allows you to have them. So that's really cool, man. Good for those kids. I said Scottie Barnes doing his best Magic Johnson impression here. Just no projection, but if you've watched Scottie long enough, you knew this pass was going bullet, right? And Isaiah Jackson just falls asleep on this one. Great pass there. Here, I said Toronto is leaving a lot to be desired defensively, for real. Like, this transition defense just sucks. You don't get back in place. You don't stop the ball. Here, you must stop the ball. If you're RJ Barrett and Brandon Ingram, there's no way with this much space that he should be able to split you. None. Okay? None. And Emmanuel quickly is your low man. You have to court map and understand that. And here, what are you afraid? You're going to break his fucking nails? This is ridiculous. He just splits you, and you give him like, and the worst part is, like, if you're RJ, this is such a bad habit he has, sometimes pushing a guy in the back when he's already past them. Like, you're just liable in a close game to, and again, I always think about this, right? This is a 12-point game here. This is not oh, it's close. It's a 2-point game. It's not the playoffs. But you do that shit in the playoffs, and people will be lighting fucking pitchforks, and lighting your jersey on fire for costing them a series. Like, these are the types of details that cost you a series, right? Like, knowing how to close that gap is the basic, right? Basic defense. This is not difficult to stop. I understand Pascal Siakam's a hell of a good player, but you are two big dudes, man. Two big dudes. This is a, I mean, in a real way, this is a 1-on-4 fast break. It's like a 2-on-4 fast break. Okay. Now, obviously, somebody should probably be helping Emmanuel Quickly, who is doing his best right here to stop a 7-footer. But you cannot allow this to happen. And if you're CMB, like, you have to know that Ingram and this is how you build trust, right? Like, I don't know. I just, this play just pissed me off, man. I'm not gonna lie to you. This pissed me off. Okay, let's move on. I said, love this pass from RJ to CMB. I do love this because this is how you build team chemistry. When you could force your own shot, you reward your teammate for running the fast break. This is how it should always be. You should never not throw this pass. In fact, you don't throw this pass, I bench your ass. I would coach like that. I'm a crazy guy. I would coach like that. If you don't pass ahead in transition, when a guy has an open layup, you go into the bench, because that's how you ruin team chemistry. And that's why guys don't run in transition. That's why guys don't cut. If I miss you on a wide open cut underneath the basket because you're not looking up, I'm not cutting again for you. Why should I waste my energy cutting if you're just going to do your own thing? That's why selfish basketball sucks. It sucks to watch. It sucks for the players who are playing it. So it's great to see this play right here where you take a chance to set up your teammate who ran the floor and did the right thing. Give him 2 points. Good for you, man. RJ Barrett scored a lot of points in his life. It's nice to see him passing one up here. I said the Raptors have so many big playmakers. Here's 3 of them working together. Number 1 in fast break points for a reason. Watch this. Here, Ingram makes this pass to CMB. CMB, 1 dribble. No reason to force it. Passes to RJ Barrett. And this is called karma. You found him in transition. He finds you back and he puts you at the line. Now, unfortunately, I think he split these free throws. So it's not a 2 points for 2 points equation. But yes, I said it was a 7-point game. Darko put Scottie back in. It's not a 7-point game anymore. Watch this sequence. This was probably one of my favorite sequences of the game. And this is the best Scottie Barnes basketball of the game, for me, at least. Watch this play. So this is the first one. Here we start in transition. Scottie saying, give me the ball, give me the ball, give me the ball. Okay. Where's this ball going? Anyone remember where this ball is going? Boom. Now, very often the Raptors fuck up this very play right here. This is simple basketball. All Grady needed to do was slow his stride and wait for Scottie to make this pass. You see, if Grady is already like, it's all about angles and transition. Everything is about angles and transition, right? Everything. So you have to provide space and the right angle for the pass. If you cut, if Grady is right next to this dude, then you're just in the way. If Grady is fanned out to the corner, now Scottie Barnes is going one-on-one at the rim. But you should always cut behind the defense in transition, and Grady does just that, and Scottie gets him his first points of the game. Very nice to see, and Scottie's very happy to set up a teammate. That was the first play. Here's the second play. Suddenly, it's not a 7-point game anymore. It's now an 11-point game, and here's the second play of that sequence. Here, Scottie Barnes and Grady Dick forced that turnover on, who the hell was that? I don't even see who the hell that is on this play, but they force this turnover. Grady plays good defense, allows Scottie to come over. They knock it loose. Sandro Mamukelashvili, tip pass. Grady Dick picks it up. Grady Dick, 4 straight points. And then the next play in that sequence, once again, I say it's not a 7-point game anymore, right? Brandon Ingram with the awesome defense here to force the miss. Scottie Barnes grabs it, and what does he do? Rewards Grady Dick for running in transition, and Grady Dick rewards him with an assist by making that sort of backhanded layup. So immediately the game was over. 3 plays later, this game was totally over. And as if you needed a little bit more of a boost, here's Emmanuel quickly closing out the third quarter, pretty much the same way he closed out the second quarter. Nembhard's a great defender, gets him a little bit off balance, leans into him. Tough shot over the shot blocker, Jay Huff. I don't think I love that shot, but I'm happy he made it. After all of those that he's missed, I'm just happy he made that one, man. All right. I said Scottie Barnes is a troll in the Pacers at this point, and I truly believe that. Like he just being funny right now. Here, he's just trying things. Tough pass, man. I'm gonna say tough pass. I watched Magic throw that pass a million times. I never saw Kareem have like that type of reaction to it. Like Scotty's a good passer, but he's not a perfect passer. Like sometimes the effort and the intention is great, but the accuracy can be like a little bit like 2 degrees off. Okay, here, Jakob Poeltl. See, the reciprocity of this team is amazing. Scotty found Yak in transition. Here, passes the ball to him. Jakob Poeltl sets the little screen on Isaiah Jackson, allows Scotty to finish clean, and he's wondering where the fuck's my foul, because Scotty got fouled a lot tonight, a lot more than his 9 free throw attempts would suggest. He got fouled pretty much every time he touched the ball. Here, Jacoby Walter, good job, man. And then he picked up a steal in transition and ended up getting fouled, so he picked up 3 points in garbage time. The Raptors were up at this point, 126-111. So overall, great. Above the Cloud said, you could tell Scotty enjoyed that one. We are open for callers. If you would like to call in, I'm going to put the link in the description. If not, we can just talk about what's ahead for the Toronto Raptors in general. But here is the link to call in. You can definitely call in. So overall, man, like this is a nice competitive team win. Like you there's a feel good win. Hopefully you don't feel too good about yourself, right? But Recruiter Dude with the super chat. Appreciate you, man. Why did Darko keep the starters on so long? That is a good question. That is a great question, actually. Why did Darko keep the starters in for so long? I think at some point, like you have to build some continuity with your units, right? And it's interesting because when he put the second unit in, it wasn't even like the garbage unit. You know what I mean? Like you don't have enough healthy bodies. You have a lot of guys in you have a lot of guys who currently are with the 905 or are out. Ochai Abaji missed this game. Jamison Battle was out of this game. Those are the guys who would typically step in garbage time. Getting Garrett Temple runs against the Indiana Pacers for the 85th year in a row of his career doesn't really move the needle in terms of development. I think there's positive things that can be said about garbage time. So, for instance, in the last game that the Raptors, you can't be serious. Y'all see Temple got the chance. Why? Is he about to retire? Cool, man. Oh, that's dope. He scouted for this game? Oh, that's cool. That's cool. It's good for him. That's typically the job of an assistant coach. Scouting, that's great. So I can see that they're readying him for the next iteration of his career at this point. Unfortunately, there's no way out of that contract. You can't just waive him, right? So, yes. And they won convincingly. Bro, this is the Indiana Pacers. They're not a very good team. They did not play well. Let's not get carried away here. But to answer the question by Recruiter Dude, the reason that you play your starters a little bit more is largely to build them up chemistry, I would think, right? Unless, of course, you think that Darko took the plus 36 and 31 and a half on Scottie Barnes PRA and was like, yo, get me my final couple rebounds, Scottie. No. Scottie just pure trolling out there. If you're a sports bettor, not that I ever advocate for this stuff, but if you are a sports bettor out there, do not bet on Scottie Barnes. Like literally, just don't. His game is never going to be satisfying. It's totally all over the place. 5 blocks, 1 block. He just plays a team game. He lets the things come to himself. I didn't think he had a great game tonight, but you know, whatever. You didn't need him to have a great game tonight. You'll need him to have plenty of great games. I will say your next opponent up is not as bad as you think. So I don't know who's going to play for the Charlotte Hornets. I don't know who's going to be out. Like, like I don't know who's going to be out in the next game for Charlotte, but Charlotte is hooping. Like they're really good. They're like a really fun team to watch. There's a lot of bad teams out there that don't have a lot of wins that are crap that are playing crappy basketball. The Charlotte Hornets will not beat themselves. They are a team that is playing hard for their coach. They are a team that has a lot of youth and enthusiasm. It is a perfect trap game. And the Raptors would be very smart not to overlook that team because I have watched enough Charlotte Hornets basketball this year to tell you that that is a very focused, extremely fun team to watch. Actually, here's what I'll suggest to you. I believe the game is at Scotiabank. So here's my suggestion to you. If you want to watch a really cheap game this year where you'll actually see a pretty decent team play basketball, I would actually suggest the Charlotte Hornets. I have no idea how much tickets cost, but I assume it's going to cost less than just about every single ticket this year, apart from maybe the Wizards. The Wizards play shit basketball. The Hornets play good basketball. I like the Hornets. I do. I'm just gonna tell you that. I like the Hornets, man. I don't know if we got 430 people in here. I don't know if we got a single Hornets fan, but shout outs to you and shout outs to your team. Sion James, Ryan Cockbrenner, Con Knipple. Yo, man, they got some dogs over there, right? So Oliver saying I'm going Monday. Good stuff, man. Good stuff for you. Deno saying speak on Con. I'm assuming you mean Con by Gone. I think Con Knipple is freaking awesome. I really liked him in the pre-draft process. Also, to those of you who followed our pre-draft process, I'm happy to say we will be doing a show very soon, probably tomorrow, with Erson Demir. So Erson gave us a lot of nice insights on the past draft. We're going to be talking next year's draft tomorrow. We're going to be talking about maybe some targets. The Raptors have 3 picks in next year's draft. I have not been watching. I'm going to be honest. This year, we're a good team. I don't know how much draft work I'm going to be able to do. I'm really focused on paying off my mortgage. Covering the draft right now is not really paying off my mortgage. So right now I'm really focused on the Raptors, my editing jobs, and my PC stuff. And we're not talking draft on PC yet. So I'm probably going to be doing like a lot more draft work after Pendants. But at this point, Erson, his whole life is the draft. So I'm looking forward to asking him questions about what he's seen from AJ DeBonso, what he's seen from, Cam Boozer. I will tell you that I walked into the season confident that AJ was going to be the number 1 pick in next year's draft. And right now, I'm like, Darren Peterson and Cam Boozer will give him the toughest run for a number 1 pick ever. Like, they're so good. So there are 3 franchise level players at the top of this draft. And while I heard it a lot coming into this draft cycle, I didn't believe it until I saw it. And it's hard to tell what's going to translate from high school to the to college to the NBA. It's always a projection game, but man, this draft looks great. And so we're going to talk about some mid-range targets for the Raptors, maybe some prospects you could start watching in the NCAA right now. We'll probably talk a little bit of Neoklas Abdalis, who was one of Erson's second-round sleepers last year, who is just balling out. So this is going to be a really fun year for the draft. I will definitely get more into the draft, as I said, after February. So February, Pendants ends. March is March Madness. That's probably when I'm going to really, really start getting into the draft. We'll start doing draft videos. But hey, man, we're going to be doing playoff videos too. That's going to be fun. Shout outs to you. Sean saying, Sam Mitchell saying Scottie could be better than Kawhi. Did he really say that? I thought I was the only person in the world that thought that. Here's the thing. Sam Mitchell is interesting because I haven't been the most high on Sam Mitchell's basketball intelligence. Some of the stuff that he said over the years has really caught me off guard. I think Scottie has a chance to be better than Kawhi. Yeah, I do. It's not a great chance. It's not a great chance. Please respect Kawhi Leonard, one of the 50 greatest players to ever play. And really, if we're being honest, peak for peak, probably one of the 30 greatest players to ever play. So if Sam genuinely believes that, I mean, Sam's the guy who played in the NBA. I don't know how many people remember that, but Sam Mitchell not only coached in the NBA, he played in the NBA. He was the guy coaching against Kobe Bryant when he scored 81. He was the guy who was mentoring Kevin Garnett when he was a rookie. So Sam has been around it. Sam has played against Michael Jordan. He has played against, Kobe Bryant. He's played against a lot of dudes. And for him, he's seen them all. He's seen Vince Carter and now he's seeing Scottie Barnes up close and he's seeing his game. And, it's interesting because Kevin Garnett has also spoken very glowingly of Scottie Barnes. But yeah, he got to put it together a little bit more, man. Nolan Bambury saying, I called a top 4 seed for the Raptors before the season. Shout outs to you, man. I hope you put that in record somewhere. But yes, I also felt that this team would be a top 5 seed. I don't know about a top 4 seed, but I said they'd be pushing 50 wins. And I've said to anyone who would listen to me that the floor on this team, I believe I said 36, 37 wins was the floor. 52, 53 games was a ceiling. I probably land somewhere in the middle, but I was saying the Raptors could be a 50-win team. To a lot of people, this is unsustainable. Oh, it's luck, it's this, it's that. Guys are shooting over their head. Here tonight, you blow out a team and you shoot 23% from the field. Sorry, 23% from 3, and you can't make a free throw. At some point, we're just going to have to acknowledge that the Raptors have leveled up. Now, a lot has been made about why the Raptors have leveled up. We're going to talk to Red Salute here. If there are any other callers, let me just put the link again in the description here. Put the link here. This is the link. All right. Red Salute, what is up, man?
Yo, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Pretty good, man. Question for you.
Sure. What's up?
After the first quarter, how many shot attempts did Scottie Barnes have?
After the first quarter?
Yeah.
Is this something that you know or something that you're expecting me to figure out?
No. I know it. I'm just wondering if you notice this as well.
After the first quarter, how many did he have on the game? He had 7 on the game. So I'd assume he had 5.
After the first quarter?
Yeah. Did he have 5?
No.
6?
Nope.
All 7?
1. He had 1 shot attempt in the entire first quarter.
Oh, you're saying after the first quarter?
Yes. Sorry if I wasn't clear on that.
Hold on. So you're saying, hold up, man. Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
First quarter, let me isolate those.
Yeah.
Scottie Barnes. He took 1 shot.
He had 1 shot in the entire quarter.
Okay, so when you say after the first quarter, how many did he have? That would logically, you're saying second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter. How many does he have?
No, I'm just trying to. After the first quarter was complete, he was 0 for 1.
Oh, so you mean during the first quarter? How many did he have?
Yeah.
Okay, yes, that I knew 1. That's why I said 6.
Oh, okay.
I think I said 5 or 6. Anyways,
okay.
Yes, no, he wasn't very assertive in the first quarter at all.
Dude.
He also didn't play that many minutes, in fairness.
That's very true, but it's just like Coach. I forgot his name. The guy who always calls in, Coach Mo, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Quickly on ball. We saw that again in the first quarter, and Scottie was mostly off ball. And what did we see happen with the half-court offense? The turnovers, RJ, quickly, even Ingram at times when he wasn't hitting his shots or they're turning the ball over.
Mm-hmm.
We got it back together in the second quarter onwards. But
sure,
it's just you've highlighted it so well the other day. The starting lineup, it doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
And this quickly on ball, I understand we're trying to raise his trade value, but I'm also wondering too if Darko is trying to get some stealth development in with quickly, trying to turn him into a point guard when he must know it's not like Darko knows. I'm a layman compared to him. He's a qualified professional. He's doing this for decades. He must know in the back of his mind. He must know that this quickly is not going to be able to do this,
right?
Become a point guard. So I don't know, man. It's just I find it gets a little insufferable. Like we just.
How many shots do you think Brandon Ingram took in the first quarter?
I think. I can't remember specifically, but I think he was maybe 6 or 7 field goal attempts.
Well, I have it on the screen. He took 8.
8, okay.
8 shots for Ingram. He made 4. 3 shots for RJ. He made 2. 3 shots for Quickly. He made 1. 1 shot for Jakob. So again, they went very Ingram ball, right? Yeah. Jamal Shead made a 3-pointer. Brandon Ingram, a lot of Ingram in the paint, which I'm perfectly fine with. Mamu Kelishvili, when he got in, he made a transition layup, right. And then he made a corner 3. But that was the Raptors in the first quarter, and things did not look good in the middle of that first quarter. So again, it's not just on, in fairness, it
Yeah.
was not just on Emmanuel Quickley, in my opinion. It's not just Emmanuel Quickley. And also, I don't think after the last 4 games, I think Emmanuel Quickley has turned a corner in terms of his transition shooting, the gravity that he pulls as a transition jump shooter. Obviously, he looked a lot better off the ball against Cleveland.
That's fair. Absolutely.
And even tonight, with Jamal Shead in that lineup, he was off the ball and he looked much better. So yes,
Yeah.
I've said it for years. Emmanuel Quickley's not a point guard. I don't think he's a point guard. He's not going to become a point guard. But if he can just do really great off-ball things and occasionally dribble, like he is adapting, right?
Yeah. I think a much more objective way to state it is how we start off in the first quarter, and it's just this ugly iso ball. My turn, your turn. Let's all try to be like Brandon Ingram. And I just think it would flow much more better, our half-court offense, if the ball was in Scottie's hands, or even, with Ingram as well. Because, they just process the court at such a high level. And it gets a little frustrating at times. But no, it's completely fair. Quickly, yeah, you are right. I guess I'm just a little trade hungry right now, to be honest. I want to, I know you can't just rush into these things, and you've got to make it work, and it's got to be, there's so many pieces that need to fall into place, the salaries, the fit, the chemistry, the need, filling these holes and so on. But it just gets, I just have this fear, this apprehension regarding our starting lineup and how vulnerable we look at times. And then because it's our bench that comes in and then cleans it up and gets us back on track. And as cool as that is, having a really strong bench, Jamal Shead, Mamu, CMB, and so on. Like we can't have a team where the bench comes in and gets, kind of shows the starters, okay, we're getting our act together for you guys. We're picking up the slack for you. You know what I'm saying? It's just,
yeah, I get it.
It can't continue like this. And I just really hope there's a sense of urgency on Bobby Webster's behalf and Dan Tolzman in the front office, because Jakob needs some help. Even if it's just like a stopgap measure, we call up someone from the G League or just take a flyer on someone for a 10-day or whatever, however they go about doing it. I just hope they can, just a little sense of urgency is all I'd like to see, hopefully, until we pull the trigger on a trade. Just because it wasn't so bad tonight, but there are other games, where just the boxing out and the rebounding, and specifically the defensive rebounding, it just becomes a really big glaring issue. And I just don't want to see us get beaten up by the Pistons, man. I really hope we can meet that challenge.
I got you. Yeah. No, I get it. Any final thoughts?
Yes, final thoughts. Elijah Martin. You said something a while ago. You made a really interesting observation regarding Darko and his role in the organization, and that you, and specifically in regards to our drafting the last 3-4 years, and how Masai Ujiri wasn't drafting traditional, Masai Ujiri prospects.
Sure.
Taking CMB, Grady Dick, Jacoby Walter, and so on.
Gotcha.
And that Darko has a say, or they ask.
Yeah,
I think. Sorry, I'm taking a while to get to my point. I think Darko really had a lot of input in the Elijah Martin pick. I just have the suspicion, because Elijah seems to be a high motor, great athlete, excellent defender. And I just have this suspicion that Darko's seeing the scouting reports, watching the tape, getting a feel for him, looked at him and said, I can fix a shot. I can help him get a jump shot. I don't know. Just a suspicion I have, but I'll leave it at that with you.
I have no idea if that's actually going to work out for them, but hopefully it does, man. I have no idea. I'm lower on Elijah Martin than a lot of people, but he's been playing much better. Thanks for calling in, Red Salute. Appreciate you.
All right.
Peace. Okay, Nolan, what's up? We got Nolan, and then we got AG. What's up, Nolan?
Hey, Pen. First of all, I wanted to go back and say that I posted that claim on Twitter back in August, before, way before the season even started,
That's
that I
amazing.
thought
Dope.
that the Raptors would be better than the Hawks, the Milwaukee Bucks, and a bunch of other teams. Pistons and 76ers, I didn't see the Pistons being this good, but I don't think anyone did. Um, but yeah, I did make that claim a while ago, so I'm going to keep that up and hope that I'm correct. Um, I also wanted to propose something to you, because a little while ago we had uh, done a little uh, fake trade video,
Sure.
um, with a couple trade ideas,
Hmm.
and I wanted to run a trade by you that I came up with uh, for the Raptors, just because, again, I kind of agree with Red Salute when he was talking about how um, we kind of like how he's trade hungry, and how the Raptors probably could use a trade. Um, this one I kind of came up with is kind of like a bigger, like, splash type trade. And I kind of wanted to hear your thoughts on what you think about it. Um, so it's a three-team trade between the Raptors, Grizzlies, and Brooklyn Nets. And so what the Raptors be giving up is RJ, Jakob, Ochai, Grady, and 3 first-round picks. You can add an extra first-round pick if you really think it's worth it. And then the Raptors would get Jaren Jackson. They take on Terrence Mann's contract from the Brooklyn Nets, and they would send KCP to the Nets for that contract, and send a second with KCP, so the Brooklyn Nets would be more tempted to take on that salary. And then they'd sign Malik Beasley in free agency, because that trade would allow them to have a little bit more flexibility cap space wise.
We're signing Malik Beasley.
Yeah.
Oh Lord. Yeah, I understand the talent ad that you're thinking about. I get it. Uh, but no, he was under investigation for a reason, and we already went through this with John T. Porter. I don't think we're touching this guy.
Well, okay. Then take out the Malik Beasley factor. Does that trade interest you at all?
So give me the in and out for the Raptors again. The Raptors get Jaren Jackson Jr. and who else? And who do they give up? Forget about the other team. Just tell me who are we
Yeah,
getting
yeah.
and who are we
So
giving up?
so we would get Jaren Jackson, and we'd bring
Uh-huh.
in Terrence Mann as well, who I think you actually mock traded
Yes,
in one of your mock
I
trades that
did.
we would get back
Okay.
in the trade. And then we'd be sending out RJ, Jakob Pertl, Ochai, Grady, and then I put 3 first-round picks, but you could really put 4. I think it might take 4 to get a guy like Jaren Jackson.
Uh, I get it. I do. The talent equation, moves me in a sense, but you're giving up a hell of a lot for a player who has been arguably one of the worst playoff players, playoff droppers, you know. So that the potential is tantalizing with Jaren Jackson Jr., obviously former defensive player of the year, mega block numbers. He is a very good defender. But giving up all that, and of course, has a lot of potential offensively. I just don't, given how this Desmond Bain thing has worked out, and I understand that it's not the same thing, totally different players. But given how this like 4 first-round picks, 3 first-round picks type of stuff works out for a lot of teams, this might be the type of deal that haunts you for years, right? He's not a great rebounder. I think he's soft, man. Like and that's part of like my thing with Jaren Jackson is I genuinely think the dude is soft at times. So yeah, I mean, it's one thing when you're trading for a distressed asset like John Morant and like you're gonna get a really good deal on it, but it might work out, it might not. It's another thing when you trade for a very highly regarded asset like Jaren Jackson or Lauri Markkanen. Like that deal has to work out,
Yeah.
right? So
I mean, that's fair. It's hard because, like I said, like, I think the Raptors should do a trade, even though we're playing great right now. I don't think we should get too high on ourselves, because,
I
as
agree.
you said a little while ago, it's when your assets are at their best that you want to try to trade them, because you don't want them
Right.
to depreciate. So I think right now, with the Raptors on a roll, with their players playing good, especially RJ playing I mean, I know he didn't play well last game, but kind of coming back into his own and just in the totality, RJ has played pretty well in the season. I
Hmm.
think that that's an asset you really need to take advantage of, and like
Okay.
trying to come up with like a player that the Raptors could acquire that would kind of address some of their needs. It's very, very difficult, especially when
Sure.
it comes to like trying to configure a trade where RJ is one of the major pieces going back. It's just really difficult.
Okay, so we got Charlotte coming up. I'm just gonna give you the list of games, and we're gonna figure out how good or bad this team is gonna be after 20 games. Okay, so
Mhm.
the next 7 games, Charlotte, win or loss.
You know what? It's funny. I kind of feel like that's a loss. Even though we should win that game, I don't know. I feel like that's a game that the Raptors, they're on a really high right now. I just feel like we might get out rebounded that game, and that's why we'll lose that game. No other reason, just that.
Damn.
Um,
Okay, so that will put us at 8-6, and
mhm.
then Philly, Washington, Brooklyn, Cleveland, Indiana, Charlotte. So what's our record over that stretch?
Well, I'll
Basically,
just
I'm
run
asking you, like, what is our record after 20 games?
after 20 games. I mean, I'm hoping we're still over 500. Um, I don't know. Like the games you just rhymed off to me. Like I feel like the 76ers, I feel like we'll beat them. I know they're playing really well. I think the Raptors, if they lose, especially if they lose to the Charlotte Hornets, are going to come back next game and try to win. I don't think that they'll want to lose 2 games in a row, like drop 2 games, especially to a really bad team. Um,
Hmm.
Washington probably a win. Brooklyn, I don't see much competition in Brooklyn. Cleveland might be a game that we drop just because Cleveland has lost the last 2 games to us. They probably be really motivated to beat us. So that's probably another loss. Indiana, I'm not scared of Indiana. Charlotte, I think if they beat us the first time, we'll probably beat them second. New
Okay.
York, probably a
So,
loss.
well, I mean that ends it. So, yeah, so I mean we'll still be above 500. Okay, is kind of the point that I'm making here. So, even if we lose to Charlotte, win against Philly, win against Washington, win against Brooklyn, lose to Cleveland, and beat Indiana and Charlotte, like that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wins. That's 5 wins. So add 5 wins, you're 13-7. I would say a 13-7 team has more trade leverage than an 8-5 team,
Yeah, that's fair.
right? So that's or I mean, honestly, I think we could be 14-6. I think we could be 15-5. Like I think we could, you know what I mean? Like we could just go on a tear here, right? Like I think it's such a cool thing. It's a little bit bittersweet that we're talking about trades, obviously, because we've been talking about trades for 4 straight years here, right? There's a lot that's been
Yeah.
going wrong with this team, and I think it's difficult to just get into the mindset of like, we're good now. We might
Yeah.
not need to make a trade because I think most of us can kind of look at this roster and be like, I don't think we're good the way OKC is good. I don't think we're good the way Denver is good. And I'm
Can I
really
ask you,
happy.
sorry,
Go
can
ahead.
I ask you a question, Pen? Do you think that if the Raptors are able to, whether it's like play in or play, like I would hope playoff, like top 6 seed, if they're able to make the playoffs and they're in
Sure.
a first round series, do you think the Raptors currently as constructed have enough to win a round?
Against who?
Um, so if we're, I I think the East, like the teams that are going to make the playoffs are going to be a lot better than people think they'll be, especially like when it comes playoff time.
Sure.
Let's just for example, let's say they go against a team like Miami in the first round.
Actually, let's just do this. Let's just use today's standings and let's just reverse it. So the Raptors are fourth in
Hmm.
the Eastern Conference right now. So they would have home
Hmm.
court against presumably an Atlanta team that is either healthy with Trey Young or has traded Trey Young for something valuable.
Right.
Okay. So home court against Atlanta, do you think we can beat that team as currently constructed?
See, the thing is, Atlanta's not playing very well, right? I mean, actually, they've gone on a pretty good tear the last couple games, but
They're seven
um,
and three over their last 10. They're
yeah,
playing some of the
yeah,
best defense they've played all year. They're
yeah.
actually playing really well.
Yeah. If Trey, funny enough, if Trae Young's playing, I think it's more likely that we beat them.
No, I don't think so. I think Trae Young would kill us.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest.
Okay.
Personally, that's just my opinion. But yeah, as much shit as people want to talk about Trae Young, I think the size, the spacing, the experience, the wing, defensive, their just ability to surgically pull you apart with Trae Young. I think Nikhil Alexander-Walker, like the defense between him and Jalen Johnson's not a great defender, but he's a good live wire athlete. I think they're just bigger than you. They're so much bigger than you. Onyeka Okongwu off the bench. Yeah, I think Atlanta probably would take that series, if I'm being honest, as the Raptors are currently constructed.
Correct. What about the 76ers? Do you think they could beat them?
Is Joel Embiid playing?
Is he ever?
I mean, if he is playing, no, I don't. If he isn't playing, yes, I do. Milwaukee, yeah, I think we could beat Milwaukee. Yes, I think we could beat Chicago. I think we would struggle immensely against Miami or Orlando.
Here's my thing when it comes to the Raptors right now. I think as currently constructed, I think it'll be very difficult for the Raptors to win a series in the playoffs. I think they're good enough to make the playoffs. Don't get me
Okay.
wrong. I have a hard time believing that the roster currently constructed is geared up enough to win a playoff series, only because the first of all, lack of playoff experience. They haven't been to the playoffs in like a few years now.
Yeah, but
And
players on your team have been to the playoffs. RJ has been to the playoffs.
yeah,
Ingram has
but they
been to the
haven't made it
playoffs.
very far in
Sandro.
the playoffs. They've been in first round series
RJ was
before,
actually
but
pretty good in the playoffs. For the most part, he was a pretty good player.
he was,
Yeah,
but the
and
New York Knicks didn't make it very far that year.
okay, but if the argument is playoff experience, then RJ has playoff experience. IQ has playoff experience, although not great. He didn't play great in the playoffs. Jakob Poeltl has plenty of playoff experience. I mean, that's the thing. Scottie Barnes has a little bit of playoff experience, and if the Raptors continue to take their in-season tournament games a little bit more seriously, they'll get a little bit of that high leverage kind of push playoff. I think the Raptors are preparing for the playoffs. Like, I think they've been preparing for the playoffs. I think their practices are really hard. Like, they play physical defense. I don't think the playoffs are some sort of magic thing where it's like, oh my God, suddenly details matter. I think the Raptors are a pretty detail-oriented team. But I also think, that there's things that they do that will be harder to do in the playoffs. Anyways, no, any final thoughts?
Yeah. I'll just get this out as a final thought. The thing that I really like about this Raptors team, and even watching it tonight,
Mhm.
when the Raptors were having like a hard time like putting putting their foot on the Pacers' neck to try and get a good lead and like destroy them. I think being able to like the in-game adjustments that they're able to make even in games where they're close with bad teams that they shouldn't be close to, the ability to like make in-game adjustments the way that they do and then have it dramatically change the way their second half looks, I think is a very promising sign for this team for this year.
Agreed. I think people are going to find out the Darko Rakovic can actually coach. All right, man. Thanks a lot. Appreciate you.
No problem.
Peace. AG, what's up?
What's going on?
What's good, man?
Yeah, I'm really really excited about what I'm seeing right now. 8-5 obviously is amazing. But I just had a couple of things I wanted to touch on early. For one, I was in the chat earlier before the live started, and I was talking about how I wasn't impressed with Scottie's lack of aggression on offense. I think that is something that even you highlighted. I think and my point was like, I wasn't trying to braid his game or anything like that. I was just trying to make a point where his aggressiveness on offense is the most important on everybody in the starting five because he opens up the game so much with his passing, right?
Mhm.
So if he is not as aggressive, it's going to be easier to guard. Like it just makes our offense overall less productive. Even though they want. I'm just talking big picture here. So like let's say he was scoring or he took like 6 or 7 shot, or no, 5 shot attempts in the first 10 minutes of the game. That's obviously going to put the defense on notice. They're going to start double teaming, triple teaming. It's going to open up the whole offense. You know this already. I'm just talking about like how I was debating with the people in the chat. So I think more so his aggression is more important than even Brandon Ingram's, because he just opens up the floor that much. Now, I also wanted to touch on this. I know I'm getting ahead of myself, but I as currently constructed, the starting 5, I don't think they're good enough defensively in a playoff series against a team like, I don't know, even Atlanta, even though I don't fear them at all. Philly, Miami, teams like that. I don't think it's good enough personally. I think the weakest link defensively, obviously, to me is RJ. So if we can somehow upgrade that position, I don't know. Like I'll take less offense for more defense, you know,
Mhm.
in that spot, because I'm thinking big picture here. The East is wide open. Raptors are 8-5 after 13 games. I think we can really do some damage this year. There's nobody in the East that really scares me that much, Rob. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
So
I hear you.
that's yeah.
What would you trade your defensive liability for? Like, what level of offensive downgrade are you willing to take on? Because you might have an offensive downgrade, defensive upgrade on your bench, which is CMB.
Yeah, I want somebody with more experience, more seasoned. Like
How
a
about
3
Ochai
and
Baji?
no, no, definitely
No,
not him. No, I think one of these 3, Ochai, Grady, or RJ, or maybe even all 3, I think are gonna leave 100%. There has to be a move. I don't think this roster is gonna stay. Right? It's highly unlikely for me. So 1 or 2 or all 3 of them are gonna go in a trade.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know. I don't know who I would target, to be honest with you. Jeremy, people keep saying, I was talking to my homie, he was like Jeremy Grant, but I'm like, he can't guard anybody either. Like, what are we talking about? I don't know. I don't know, to be honest. Like, okay, here's the thing, right? If we were to completely swap RJ with OG, I think we can beat anybody in the East. Like we need an impact 3-and-D guy, like a really solid defensive guy who's not just good one-on-one, who's not
Herb
just good.
Jones.
Oh yeah, that would be pretty good pick right there.
Yeah, unfortunately, the New Orleans Pelicans still fancy themselves a playoff team. Would you trade for Dylan Brooks?
I would, yeah. I like him because
What about Andrew Wiggins? Am I at least in the right ballpark of these players? I'll give you another name that's gonna like be really wild and out of there. Harrison Barnes.
Nah. I like Dylan Brooks more because he's toxic. We have a lot of nice guys. We need some toxic defensive guys on this team. You know, I think because the team is like they're a bunch of nice guys. You know, we need some a-holes on the team a little bit. I think so, right? And Andrew Wiggins is good. He obviously proved himself in the playoffs a couple years ago with Golden State. I like
Right.
him. He has good experience. He's a solid defender. Like one-on-one, he's not bad. You know, so and he can score. So, yeah. But Dylan Brooks would be a guy I would target personally. I don't know what it would take to get him. I like Dylan Brooks on this team specifically.
Right. Yeah. So here's the thing. I think there's 2 sides to this, argument. One side is we're winning. Let's stop talking about trades. That's basically Mel right here. Another win, another trade session, shaking my head. Okay, you can shake your head right off until it falls off, bro. I don't really care. There's another side that says, yes, it's cool, but I still see the holes. You're winning, but I still see the holes, right?
Yeah.
I'm not moved by beating, the teams we beat. We're still going to get smoked in the playoffs. This is not sustainable, right?
Can I make a comment to that, Rob?
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, like here's the thing, Raptors fans. I'm not like look, the team had aspirations to win this year. Like they wanted to be a playoff team. They wanted to be taken seriously. So I'm trying to raise my expectations level to match theirs as a fan. So I'm not going to be content on a Saturday night win against a 1-12 or 2 and whatever team. Like I'm sorry. I want to see this team go far. And I'm not trying to like brush over the fact that they're doing great. The team chemistry is getting better. They had a rough start, but they really rebounded. I'm not trying to brush that off. I'm just saying, as somebody who sees the writing on the wall and sees how weak the East is, we can make some damage if we really are proactive and not reactive as an organization. Because this team,
Right.
over the years, they've done some stupid ass trades, like reacting to things instead of being proactive and getting ahead of the problem. right? So that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to raise my expectations because the team did. They came out in the summer and were like, we're going to be a playoff team. We're going to be a playoff team. So why can't we do that as a fan base? You know?
Yeah, I think that's fair. And look, I think you're probably thinking about this like an analyst. And I think the people who are probably mad at you, or even people who are mad at me, are probably thinking about this like fans, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know very much about baseball. Do you know a lot about baseball?
Kind of. Not really.
Dope. So to me, Vladdy Guerrero is amazing and probably like the best player since sliced bread. I have no idea where he really ranks. I have some understanding that he's the best player on the Blue Jays. If people suggested trading Vladdy Guerrero for some player that I hadn't heard of, like that's better than him objectively by the numbers, I would hate that. I'd be like, but he just made it to the finals. How could you do that? That's stupid. You're toxic, right? But it might actually be the right move, right? It might be the right move. This doesn't have to be so sentimental for people. I will remind people that the Toronto Raptors, the year they won the championship, how good was that team at the trade deadline?
Incredible.
Incredible, right? In fact, I actually want to prove a point here. So let me just get back to this for a sec and get to the schedule and look at the Toronto Raptors schedule that year. I want to show you how good the Toronto Raptors were when they decided to make a trade that season. So this is the 2018-2019 season. Screen. The Toronto Raptors were a ridiculous. Where the fuck are we here? They were 27-11. Okay. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, where the fuck was Jonas Valanciunas still on the team here? When did we make the trade for Marc Gasol? I believe. What? Am I in the wrong year? What am I doing here? No, I'm not in the wrong year. We traded here we go. Valanciunas was still on the team in November. Does anyone have exact date on when we traded Valanciunas? Because Valanciunas is still here.
I think it was January.
Was it January?
I'm pretty sure.
When does Gasol show up? Anyways, the point is the Toronto Raptors were 35-13 and they still made a trade. They were 30-12 and they still made a trade. They were 26-10 and still made a trade. Exactly. It was exactly at the trade deadline. So I'm assuming it was like right around here. I should just Google this. When did the Raptors trade for Marc Gasol? That year was like very weird for me. I was going through like a brain surgery. So I was like very happy the Raptors won a championship that year. But nevertheless, the point is 7th February. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay. Somebody just said it. 7th February. So there we go.
Yep.
That's how good they were. They were 40-16.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, 40-16.
It's insane.
This team might not win 40 games this year. That team was 40-16 and still made a trade. So the point here is that you don't get complacent when there's an opportunity to get to the finals. And despite what people think, I actually think this team could replicate something close to what Indiana did. I think Raptor fans may at times get bogged down into a woe is me, nothing good will ever happen for us approach to their sports teams and towards their own lives. What's stopping you from the finals? I really am not scared of any team in the East if we can shore up our two problems. Our two biggest problems. Walking into the season, I had 3 problems. Do you remember those 3 problems?
No backup, like adequate backup big.
Backup center, backup point guard, adequate rim protection in the starting lineup, right? So adequate defenders in the starting lineup, this problem has not gone away. Emmanuel Quickley is worse than advertised. RJ Barrett is somehow worse than advertised. Brandon Ingram is as advertised. Jakob Poeltl is worse than advertised. And Scottie Barnes is a little bit better than advertised. Sum total, yeah, you're top 15, but eventually you're going to go up against the Detroit Pistons if you're in the top bracket. If you're the 4th seed, your second round matchup is the Pistons.
Yep.
They're the 2nd seed defense, and they haven't been healthy yet.
Exactly.
That's a scary team to face when you're undersized and they have Jalen Duren. You don't want to get to a point where you can't win a series. And like it's
frustrating. They don't even have Asar Thompson right now.
Right. I mean, like Asar has played, but Jaden Ivey hasn't. you know, and they have won games without Cade. They've won. They're just a great team. They're a fantastic team. They're fantastically coached. They play great basketball. They're long. They're huge. They rebound. Isaiah Stewart would easily be my pick to start at center for this team. He comes off the bench for them. So, I mean, there's levels to this shit in terms of youth and talent and all that stuff. There's levels, and I don't think it's problematic at all for a fan to suggest that a good team could get better. I don't think that's problematic at all. And I think it kind of comes down to your own mindset in your own life. You know, some people, they make $80,000 for the first time in their life, and they're like, wow, I have graduated to the greatest, you know, salary of all time. And the other person's like, how can I make 115 next year?
Thank you. You know what? You just hit the nail on the head for me, because that's literally my MO and how I lived my life, right? It's like, I'm not complacent. I'm not a complacent person. So that kind of bleeds into my fandom, right? And I see this, I analyze what's going on around me. I see what's going on in the NBA, and I see an opportunity. So when I see an opportunity, I think we need to be aggressive. We need to be shoppers. So it's not like personal. Like, I don't know any of these people. They don't know me. I'm just some guy that watches the team. I don't hate RJ, right? But I'm not also, but for me, it's like, I just.
Do you have an RJ poster?
Definitely not.
You have an RJ jersey?
No, I don't.
Do you sometimes in the shower sing, I want to be like RJ? Do you do that?
Hell no. No,
you don't do any of that? Then you're not a real fan, bro. You're not a real fan. That's
I didn't know that was the bar.
That's hating. Shit. That's hating for sure.
Oh, all right. Well, I didn't know that was a bar, but I don't do that for any player. So I guess I'm a casual. So
no, that's just the bar for RJ. That's just the bar to be an RJ fan. You got to topple those 3 hurdles. You got to have a jersey. You got to make a song about him and sing in the shower. You definitely got to have all that, and you definitely have to have a poster that you look at every night before bed, 100%, all the time. Yeah, man. I don't know, man. This fan base can sometimes be a little bit irrational, a little erratic. But the truth is, like, look, a couple of days ago, I proposed the Raptors make a trade with the Indiana Pacers. Not because I'm nostalgic, not because I'm a Pascal super fan, but because I know what Pascal can do on this team. Right? We just watched it. Him and Nembhard are surrounded by absolutely jack shit right now, right? And they're still able to do whatever they want against this team. This game proves the point in a sense, doesn't it? In a lot of ways, doesn't it prove the gap? Doesn't it prove the talent? And it's just like, look, Pascal is having a terrible year. It's like a year from hell.
Yeah.
Right? 52% true shooting, down from like borderline 60% true shooting. It's like someone said, why Pascal if we have Ingram? Okay. Why Gasol if you have Serge Ibaka? This is the mindset that you have to get out of. Like, having 2 great players is not a bad thing. It's never a bad thing. Having 2 long wings who can play make is not a bad thing. Having 2 great isolation scorers is not a bad thing. It's a bad thing if one of them can't shoot, and both of them can shoot, as Pascal so evidently proved today that he can hit threes.
He's a good shooter. I didn't know he got this good. Like, his skill overall, I think he's hitting another level in terms of skill, and his shot is like fluid. I'm like, whoa, okay, all right, Pascal. I did not know.
Siakam leveled up as a shooter like the second he left Toronto. Like, it's the weirdest shit on earth. But he's had good shooting seasons before. But like the guy I was watching in the playoffs last year, it's like, man, dude, the reason I titled it Pencils Have Erasers is precisely because I'm the last person on earth who anyone would ever expect to say, oh, Pascal Siakam, bring him back. And precisely and it's so ironic. Look at that season last year and the year before with Indiana. 38.6% from 3 with Indiana after the trade. And then last year it was 38.9. If you get him a good playmaker, he was an all-star last year, an all-star at the age of 30. He picked up basketball late. So what I don't understand is I was saying trade this guy when he was like 28 years old for like the haul. I wanted the haul for him, right? 27, 28 years old. I'm like, it's going different way. Let's get the haul for him right now. Probably get like 3-4 first-round picks, good picks, and a young player. Let's go do it. We know we're going in a different direction. It's not working. People said, no, he's going to be great. I'm like, do you really want to sign that next contract? And I'm like, he's probably not going to age super well on the back end of that contract. Okay. people were like, no, he's going to be great. He picked the basketball late. Those same people right now are telling me they wouldn't trade Ochai Agbaji and RJ Barrett for him. Like, bro, why are people like this? It's like there's a complacency bias where it's like the status quo bias of like, and again, I think, and you might be the perfect person to have the conversation with. Did your parents immigrate to this country?
Yes.
Mine did too. That's very interesting to me. So here's my question for you, AG. If you were born in the country your parents were in, do you think you would have had the courage to immigrate?
Yeah, I do, because where I came, it was a war-torn country. I mean, we had nothing out there. Decimated civil war. So, you know, we were just, my mom and my dad were just looking for a roof over their head. And Canada provided the opportunity, right? So,
shout outs to Canada. I have often questioned if I would have had the courage to leave my home country the way my parents left theirs. I've always wondered that. The number of people that die where they are born is so high. There are people who are like, I'm born in Louisiana, I'm going to die in Louisiana. I'm born in Calgary, I'm going to die in Calgary. The courage that it takes to leave a place that is familiar to you, especially when that place is safe and not war-torn and not, you know, undergoing some sort of genocide or whatever, but like actually just that place is just fine, right?
Yeah.
That's courage, man. I would estimate less than 2% of people in the world ever leave a comfortable situation that they're born into.
Well, under those circumstances, yeah, I agree with you. Yeah. It would be very difficult.
But some people leave before the war, you know?
Some
people see it coming and they're like, nope, I'm out. Some people left Germany before shit went completely south. Some people knew, some people saw it. Other people were like, but what if it doesn't happen? And they stayed. I think there's something in the mind of people who are willing to be proactive. It's very specific to those people, and they'll often be called wrong because they're very early. And I think it's just because those people see ahead. I think those people are willing to act on it, that they see the head.
You know what? That's the number one reason why I've stuck around here and how I found your channel, because I was just so tired of the different the other Raptors content that I've been watching for like 4 years prior, right? 4 years ago, because you provided a fresh perspective for me, which I would only find in my group of friends, right? Guys who objectively look at the game, don't analyze it as super fans, but analyze it as people who actually want improvements. And we saw that you were, you know, being critical but fair, right, in your assessment. And I'm like, you know what? This is like, whoa, what did we just find here, right? So it was like a complete breath of fresh air for me personally, because I'm like, I'm so tired of the echo chamber. I'm so tired of the TSN Sportsnet rhetoric that's just being regurgitated. I'm so tired of that. I want to hear like a different perspective that actually is more objective and not the mainstream nonsense, you know? So yeah, I mean, hey, you know, kudos to you, and kudos to people that see things before it happens in real time. You know, I just like that. That's just, I don't know, that's how I see the world, and that's how I see things personally.
Yeah, I think the broader perspective here is, I was just watching something on Sam Hinkie, right? The process, the Sixers. And I think it changed the way that people look at their team success, right? I think the tank culture wasn't super big when I was young. I don't remember following, you know, like it wasn't until April maybe. I was like, oh, we're a really bad team. Let me look at who's in the draft, right? Let me look at who's coming up. Unless it's a generational draft like LeBron, in which case I'm already following because I'm already a high school basketball player and I, you know, saw LeBron in person. My point is, it's become obsessive now that anytime you're not a good team, you have to bottom out and be a terrible team. And I think the Raptors maybe pissed a lot of people off last year by being somewhat mediocre terrible. They didn't bottom out. They didn't, but I kept cautioning. I was like, they're building the habits. They're building the good things. They're tanking games on purpose, but they're a better team than this. They're a better team than this. I was saying the Raptors are 40-win team last year. That's how good I thought the team was. If they were healthy, I thought they were a 40-win team last year, but people told me, no, they got 30 wins, so they're a 30-win team. But I don't think they were a 30-win team. I think they were a 40-win team last year. So right now, with Brandon Ingram in tow, with Jamal Shead's improvement, with Scottie Barnes leveling up defensively and as a shooter, hopefully, with Sandro Mamukelashvili, with Brandon Ingram, I think this team is like a 48 to 50 win team. That's the calculus. That's what happens when you add that many good players and some of your young players develop. You go from 40 to 50, especially in the context of a weekend East. Now, that's with RJ Barrett. Both projections were done with RJ Barrett as the starting small forward on this team. That in mind.
Yep.
40 wins to 50 wins is sustainable. And for a lot of people, they say, well, if you're a 50-win team with RJ Barrett, why would you trade him? To which I would say, if you replaced RJ Barrett with Toumani Camara, not saying he's available, but actually Toumani Camara, like legitimately Toumani Camara or OG Anunoby, as the previous caller said, I think you legitimately launch into a completely different stratosphere. I think you launch into like 55 wins and a chance at the finals. And that gap is the same gap that Masai Ujiri identified when he traded Jonas Valanciunas for Marc Gasol.
Exactly.
That's the gap. It's not in the numbers because JV was putting up better numbers than Gasol. He's putting up bigger rebound numbers, bigger scoring numbers. It's in the defense. It's in the flexibility of lineups. It's in the schemability of it. I feel the Raptors are way too easy right now to attack. I think their starting lineup is way too easy. It will not hold up in the playoffs. And that's a bet that I'm willing to make. I would guarantee that this lineup will absolutely fail in the playoffs.
100%.
Not like they're going to lose their first series, but at some point, the fact that you have 3 weakish defenders in the starting lineup that all have to start will cost you a series. I don't know if it'll be the first series or the second series, but it will cost you a series.
100%. It's not going to fly. Yeah,
exactly. And if you get to the finals by some divine miracle with this team, and you go up against maybe you're not going to beat Denver no matter what you do. Let's just be honest. You're not going to beat OKC no matter what you do. But let's say somehow you go up against Minnesota because one of those teams got injured and Minnesota got through. Now you're up against Minnesota. You actually have a chance if you have Toumani Camara to win a championship here. Yeah. Now, again, all of this is presumptuous. You're probably not going to get out of the first round, your first go around. But the question of like, what if you do never occurs to some people, right?
Yeah.
And
limited.
Like,
I don't know.
There's like a. Are you a good saver? I'm sorry. I'm just very curious. Are you a good saver? Like, are you good at saving money, planning for the future and stuff?
100%. Yeah. Budgeting. Yeah. 100%.
A lot of my friends when I was younger. So when I was, and when did you start this?
I mean, I've been a real estate investor since 2017. And I invested because, well, the way I did it was I was working 2 jobs, like pretty good high paying IT jobs. So I was working like 16, 17 hours per day, and and literally stacking up bread and just living with my cousins and stuff like that. So living really minimalistically, and I made a ton of money that way. So, and I used that money to buy real estate.
Dude, I think we would be actually friends in real life. It's very similar to my own story.
Awesome.
Very similar. And I was 16 years old and I was working to save up for my first place. And people around me had no context of what I was doing. They thought I was lying, actually. That every time I would tell people, like, I don't want to spend that, I'm saving up for my first place, I would keep saying it out loud. And I was 16, right? So I'm a high school kid saying I'm saving up to buy a place. People just kind of scoff at that because nobody I knew was doing that. Yep. And then I remember calling a real estate agent for the first time when I was 18 years old. And I said, I would like to look at a place. And when he met me, he's like, you look really young. And I'm like, yeah, I'm 18. Dude, this guy, like, basically was not interested in representing me at all anymore. He was just like trying to find any way out of this. He's like, I'm getting taken for a ride. Then I found a real estate agent who was willing to take me seriously. And that guy became my real estate agent for my first 3 property purchases. That dude took me seriously. He did an honest job by me. And I remember thinking about like how much of a fuck you it was when I first signed that first paper to like everybody. And I remember so many people like after I bought my first place saying, well, now you can spend. I'm like, no, are you crazy? No, I can't just like, I can't just stop. I have to save. I don't have parents, like I don't have wealthy parents. I don't come from anything. I don't have anyone to fall back on. Everyone around me, like a lot of people around me, like, especially in university, they had like parents with like They had trust funds, that they had grandparents, they had
Oh yeah.
inheritances. They had so much stuff. I had nothing. If I fall sick right now, who do I have to fall on? Like this community for sure, some
Mhm.
friends, some family, but I don't expect like there's no parent that's gonna bail me out with a $20,000 check. So I felt that pressure to like to build, 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 and at every moment people were just like, "You can stop now," and I'm like, "No." The ambition to continue in a persistent path forward, even when you have exceeded the mark that other people have held for you, that's called like I don't know what the term for it is, but it's like it's limitless ambition.
Yeah.
It's like to not have that sort of to not be set up to fail by your surroundings and people just telling you like, okay, well, you're making $400,000 a year. Do you really need any more money? And just be like, you know what, bitch, shut the fuck up. Like
Yeah.
seriously, shut the fuck up. Like I make $600,000, $800,000. Who are you? No,
Mhm.
and I think it's the same thing with sports. It has to be ruthless. It has to be relentless, and sometimes it is cutthroat. And sometimes that means that what, like people always say like they get mad at the Okie Center. You really need all those first round picks? Yeah, we need all those fucking first round picks. You see what we're doing with these fucking first round picks? You know what I
Yep.
mean? Like the Golden State Warriors, a 73 win team, just signed Kevin Durant. Yeah, we signed Kevin Durant. This is sports, man.
Love
This
that.
is sports. We just saw, like, I feel like a Masai Ujiri right now. Like this is sports, man. This is life. I wish I had the
Yeah.
charisma of Masai Ujiri, but this
I
is like,
know.
we're like, and even like with Shea, right? Like this is a true winner mentality with Shea. He wins one championship, and the only thing he could talk about is he didn't play that well, and his team didn't play that well, and he didn't feel like they performed the way that they wanted to perform. And it's just like dope. That right there. That's why you will continue to win. When you don't get high on your own supply, that's when you'll win. And the Raptors right now, they're 8-5. Cool. Nothing. Darko Rakovic was asked before the game like about the schedule ahead, and he's like, I don't know anything beyond the Pacers. I'm only thinking about the Pacers. That's the right mentality.
Exactly.
Think about what's
right
in front of
mentality.
you. Don't think about like, oh, we're gonna go win. Like the last thing I want is a coach going in there like, guys, we got to go win 6 out of 7. That's how you get trap games. That's how you fail against the Pacers.
Yeah.
So shout outs to this team. I hope Bobby Webster will be proactive. Honestly, the Raptors were pretty successful with DeMar DeRozan, right? They were back-to-back-to-back playoff teams. They took
Mhm.
the biggest gamble ever on Kawhi Leonard.
I look what
If
that did.
DeMar DeRozan is tradable, you think RJ Barrett's not tradable? These people crazy, man.
They are, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Anyways, AG, any final thoughts?
Yeah. Final thoughts is I'm excited. 8-13 or 8-5 after 13. I would have never expected that.
Me
This
neither,
team
man.
is going crazy, bro, and they're gonna win. I think they're gonna win like 48 games minimum. That's just me. I'm crazy, but I see it.
You say
I see
48?
division. Yeah, 48. I believe it. I'm gonna continue to say that.
I think the preseason odds for like the Raptors being like the 4th seed or something were like 51-1 or something.
They never give us good odds though, so I wasn't expecting it.
Yeah, but I mean, in fairness, if you knew this team was going to be good, they just gifted you money.
They did.
Yeah,
They did.
they set Vegas set the over under on the Raptors at like 37.5, 38.5 to start. And I was just like looking at it. I'm like, do I break my anti-gambling thing and just plop $1,000 on this shit? Because it's like, it's basically free money.
That's easy money. Yeah.
It is easy money, but I can't. I don't want to do it. Perjure my soul. Like, I'm not going to do it. Watched a lot of people go down the wrong road with gambling and stuff, but man, that really was free money. 38 and a half wins, 37.5 wins.
I gamble enough with I gamble enough with crypto, so I'm done with I'm definitely not touching the sports gambling stuff.
Yeah, it's deeply addictive and very bad for your brain. All right, man. AG, thanks a lot for calling in. Appreciate you.
Take care, man.
Peace. Someone said, let's make a trade for Sabonis. Let's not. Marwin, what's up?
Hey Rob, what's going
on? Not too much. What's going on?
Yeah, I'm good. It's a good game. I think we probably could have been a bit more ruthless, like in fairness, but I think like end of the day that closing team probably really killed us in terms of the box score. But it is what it is. I mean,
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things, which is good.
It's not an NBA Cup game. Point differential doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is we just added another win.
I actually was confused because the court looked a bit different than last year's court, and I hadn't watched a Pacers game this year, so I was looking and I was like, oh, I thought maybe it was a cup game, but I guess not. But yeah, I wanted to ask you, like, how do you think this team's how viable is this team's success in the playoffs given the current roster. I know you alluded to it in the last call, but I wanted to get your deeper insights on that.
How viable is what they do in the playoffs?
Correct. I mean, I was tuning into the Pacers broadcast today, and both commentators were pretty much going off about how we've really, in some ways, mirrored sort of the Pacers blueprint of last year's run. Whether I agree or disagree, I don't know, but like, I really don't think we have that high level defender. I think the Pacers kind of got away with it because, like in the playoffs, they were starting Nembhard, Nesmith, Siakam, and Turner to sort of hide Haliburton's defensive liabilities. And I think because of the fact that Hali is so good offensively, you were able to get away with it. But I really don't think this team has enough of an offensive hub to warrant playing like Quickly and RJ and sometimes even Jakob in the playoffs. So I don't know. I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
I think Jakob is probably underrated as a
Okay.
defender in high leverage positions. Like, he's insanely smart. So even though he's not the most fleet of foot and probably not the best switch defender, I think he'll do a good enough job of communicating, moving his feet. And I'm not saying it's going to be perfect. And obviously there are better centers out there defensively than him, but I don't think he's going to cost you a series.
Mhm.
I am more impressed as I go forward with Emmanuel Quickley's defense than I was last year. Like, there's
Mhm.
been some really, really rough moments with his defense, but I am reminded that in New York, I really liked IQ as a defender, and I can't unsee it. So maybe it's a little bit of an anchoring bias, whereas I've always assumed him to be a good defender. So I was like, more or less last year, he was not meeting my expectation. And
Mhm.
maybe that's the thing with RJ. It's a little bit backwards, whereas RJ kind of came in with the reputation of not great defender, and now I've seen him be a bad defender. So it's like that tracks. With Emmanuel Quickley not being a great defender, there was still moments of competitiveness. So yeah, I think the problem isn't RJ. The problem isn't Emmanuel Quickley. The problem isn't Jakob Poeltl. The problem isn't Brandon Ingram. The problem isn't Scottie Barnes. The problem is them all together at the same time.
Mhm.
Every
Yeah.
lineup has to add or mix talents, strengths, weaknesses. This lineup ain't it. And nothing that I have seen so far would give me any indication that this lineup is going to turn it around. They've had very few moments where all five of those players together have provided positive results. They have gotten off to slow starts, game after game after game. It's like you could set a clock by it at this point.
Mhm.
Honestly, you can bet anything that the Raptors are going to build up like a 7 to 8 point deficit. The bench is going to come in. They're going to, build up a 3-4 point lead. The starters are going to come in. It's going to become a tie game. And then at some point, the bench is going to come in again with maybe Scottie or BI or RJ or somebody. And Jamal Shead is just going to go on a 10-0 run, running masterful offense. And it's
Yeah.
just like, okay, well, is there some way? Because most teams struggle to have a bench that can do this.
Right.
So is there some way that our starting lineup just isn't shit? Like, consistently bad? Because it shouldn't be this bad. Individually, the talents are there. RJ is probably a starter in the NBA for a lot of teams. I wouldn't say most teams. I won't go that far.
Mhm.
In fact, I'd be very curious to know how many teams he would actually start on in the NBA. I think some people just assume he would start on all 30. I'm struggling to think, would he start on 15 teams?
Probably not, honestly.
Probably not.
The league is very deep. Like, I don't
The
think
league
so.
is very deep, and I think there's two starters on the Toronto Raptors who would start on pretty much every team, and that's Scottie and BI. But other than those guys, and even BI, I think,
No. I think he
yeah,
would probably
Brandon.
start
I
most
was
of the
gonna say
time.
even BI because, like, I mean, I'm thinking context dependent. Would he start in OKC? But it's like he wouldn't be on OKC. But if they paid him $40 million, he'd start in OKC.
Definitely
So
would
yeah,
start.
like
Yeah.
those are the two guys. Those are the two guys that would start on every single team. And I feel like most teams that are really good have 3 to 4 guys who would start on every team.
Mhm.
So that's why I say consolidation would be a good thing because your depth is not serving you right now.
Right. And that's the thing. I hate this, and I know it's like a lot of people say this, right? But it's like I hate the politics of the NBA when it comes to lineups because I get that you can't justify whether it be to the FO or to the fan base that like benching your $32 million point guard or your $20 million center or your
Sure.
$23 million wing guard.
Mhm.
Like I get that you can't justify that, but if we're looking at it on paper, like I'm like Shed and Mamu have done everything possible to warrant getting more minutes
I
and to
agree.
warrant honestly starting. And whether that happens or not, and whether Darko will I would hesitate to say have the balls because I don't know if it's necessarily in his hands as much as people like to say it is.
It's really not.
It's I mean, like he's at this point he's like kind of he's being there's a puppet master, you know what I mean? So I don't know. I wonder if that'll ever happen. And like because we can't just roll the season going into every single game knowing that our starting lineup will keep losing points for us and then having to claw back. Like it's not going to work against the really good teams.
Well, it's okay. So there's something going in our favor, which is that the starting lineup has been positive or trending in a very positive direction, especially the grouping of Barrett, Barnes, and Ingram have been moving in a very positive direction over the last 4 games.
Mhm.
They started out horribly, but over the last 4 games, not including tonight's game, because I haven't looked at the stats for tonight's game. But do you remember like early in the season when I said like the starting lineup had like a net rating of like -20?
Yep.
They currently have a net rating of -1.3.
So better. But I
Way
think it
better.
helps that we've played like 2 lackluster teams in the last like 2 weeks, but yeah.
It does help.
Yeah.
And you know, so I mean, and the starting lineup looked really good against Cleveland. There were
True.
moments of it for sure. So you know, I think I think this team needs to go up against a real test right now
Yeah, absolutely.
to settle all of our anxiety.
Mhm.
Right? So again, we've had a couple of drop games. They were early in the season as our defense was still trying to figure it out. Our rebounding was horrible back then. I don't think the lineup necessarily cost us anything. It wasn't specifically on RJ. I
Mhm.
think Scottie Barnes deserves a lot of the blame for the first, 5 games as well. Honestly, I really do. RJ was hitting his shots. Scottie was hitting his shots. But honestly, I don't think Scottie was dialing up defensively. I called it out multiple times. How does Scottie Barnes have 4 rebounds in this loss, 5 rebounds in
agree.
this loss? People looked over it because he had 31 points. But like at the same time, like you can't have 5 rebounds.
Mhm.
You're way too good to have 5 rebounds. You can't have 0 blocks. You're too good to have 0 blocks. So I think when Scottie turned it around defensively, this team has taken off completely. Like they, over the last 7-8 games, have been honestly, I want to say they're one of the 5-6 best teams in the league over the last 8 games. The numbers on this do not lie. However, the numbers can lie because numbers are always limited to who you play. There's obviously a level of opponent that we have not seen yet. If I'm being fair to the Cleveland Cavaliers, they were without Darius Garland, they were without Lonzo Ball. We have not seen like a team that we would typically face in a playoff series at their best, playing their best.
At their
Right?
best, correct. Yeah.
So would that be a healthy Pistons team? I'm not sure if I'd be moved by that.
Me neither,
think-
honestly.
I think I would be moved by a win over a healthy New York team.
I'm actually circling. I'm actually literally circling that Philly game because I think that's right after Charlotte, and I think that's in my opinion a very good test because you lost by 10 on the second night of a back to back. I think this Philly team is honestly pretty good right now. Like I think they're probably a top 3-4 team in the East, in my opinion. When healthy, obviously, but I think that's a game I'm definitely circling, in my opinion. Not to the extent of your OKCs
would
and your
Joel Embiid
Spurs.
have to play for it to
Correct.
count?
Correct.
Okay. So if Embiid plays. Yeah, and I also like don't want to get overcritical and say, well, if everything's working perfect for them, right? But I mean, let's be real. Like we had a healthy roster tonight.
Mhm.
We did. Ochai Abaji and Jamison Battle are basically the 11th and 12th guys on this team. So we played all 10 of our guys and they were super healthy. Okay. And we smoked Indiana. That's cool. But we're supposed to smoke Indiana. We're supposed to smoke Charlotte. We're probably supposed to smoke all of these teams. This game right here, Sunday, November 30th, if Jalen Brunson is back, that is the first. Okay, that game, and if Darius Garland is back for this game, November 24th, this stretch right here. In fact, LeBron should be back on December 4th. December will be the great test for the Raptors, I feel. Okay, so
And
let's see.
I'm
the
a little
schedule.
concerned because I'm looking at that Cleveland and that New York fixture, and unfortunately, the league has screwed us, and they're both second nights of a back-to-back. So that's annoying. But
That's it. But that's the test.
that's the test. Yeah, yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
You know, if you look at this, Charlotte should be a win. I think at Philly, maybe trying to feel like, hey, let's go for a 5-game win streak. Maybe that's a win. Washington should be a win. Brooklyn should be a win. I think Cleveland is probably going to be a loss. But once again, I thought the last game against Cleveland was going to be a loss. We'll see if Darius Garland or Lonzo Ball are back. Point guard play matters a lot in the regular season. I think it matters so much. Indiana on my birthday. Cool. I think that's a win. Charlotte on that should be a win. That at New York, November 30th, on the second night of a back-to-back. Two things will show me how professional this team is. One, if they take care of Charlotte early in that game, knowing that they have a back-to-back. So as much as I believe, like, okay, you gotta pay attention to the opponent in front of you. Also, the opponent you play the next night matters too. So having that, wherewithal to not play around with their food on the road, not lose the game against Charlotte, and then have to go and try to, gather yourself against New York. There's a 24-hour turnaround between the two games. Sure, I think there should be but hey, you know what? You're saying it's the second night of a back-to-back. There's 2 games rest between it. There's 2 games rest after the Indiana game. So take care of Indiana, take care of your legs, rest up. These are guys who've played 5 games in a weekend coming up in the AAU tournaments. You're not telling me that a back-to-back should exhaust you that much, especially when the first night of a back-to-back is against Charlotte. You should
The way
take
this
care of
team
Charlotte.
plays, it's just unfortunate that sometimes like a casualty of the rotation and like how we play. But I get what you're saying. Yeah, I just
Sure.
think that's something that also slightly concerns me because like it's a very long season, right? So I'm a little worried that the injury bug is going to start creeping up once these guys get a lot of minutes under their belt, and particularly with how fast this offense runs and the pace of play we play at. That's definitely a concern. I think it's definitely mitigated by the fact that we honestly go really deep into our bench so far, like to start the year, which is great, and I hope we continue doing that. But yeah, it's just like 35 minutes a night running up and down, especially for a guy like Scottie. Like, like I'm holding my breath a bit, honestly. Um, yeah, I don't know. I just it's something that's a little concerning for me.
Right. Well, again, like I think this stretch right here between November 30th and December 4th will tell me everything I need to know about this team. One, how competitive are you on the second night of a back-to-back against New York? Whether you win or lose is irrelevant to me, by the way. If you're in a close game against New York, they play well, you play with energy. That tells me, because again, like this is an announcement to the league. The Raptors are real. We are here. You want to make a statement to teams that are inevitably going to be in your way to what you're trying to do, right? So that's the type of game. Like I could guarantee almost that Scottie is going to rest against Charlotte. Whether he actually plays or not, he's going to barely play. Like he's going to be going through motion. At New York is where you will need Scottie because they have a really good team over in New York right now. And if you can take out New York, if you can take out Portland, if you can win against Los Angeles, we could actually start talking about how deep can this team go in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think the other thing that I think is not dawned on a lot of people, especially with this team in the playoffs, is that I hate this about Scottie. Like Scottie's my favorite player, and I hate this about Scottie. But Scottie does dial it up when we need to, and I'm just starting to think that a playoff Scottie, a healthy playoff Scottie, will genuinely be a superstar. Like I think Scottie genuinely just needs one insane playoff run, which I think he will do this year if he stays healthy. Hopefully, fingers crossed. But he needs one crazy one for the league to really be on notice and to really start respecting this guy as like a top 10, 15 player in the league. And I know it's coming because we've seen what he's done in big games. That Cleveland game was like dialed up for everyone for a week, right? We were talking about how like this is going to be the big test, and he came out and had probably like one of his best 2-way games in his career.
Right.
So I know that this guy can average genuinely 30 points in the playoffs. And I hate that it's like that. Like I know you mentioned it in that last video about like sort of what Scottie needs to improve on, the fact that he dials it up against certain opponents and certain occasions and that kind of thing. But I think that's an element and a bit of a dark sort of horse to our playoff contention odds. Than people might recognize. Like I don't think people realize that Scottie's going to be a different player come playoffs.
Yeah. I understand.
And Brandon Ingram has been is a very good playoff player, right? So Yeah,
Depends on which season you check. Shaq Lindsay with a comment here. You guys are being overcritical about a team after a win. Let's examine them after 10 games and then 10 games and so on, because last time I checked, they weren't supposed to be in this position. That's fair, but also new information. Okay. Last caller and I got into the relentlessness of ambition, and I don't think there's anything wrong with dissecting a team in a win or a loss. I am not criticizing this team at all. What's wrong with you, Shaq?
And neither
What is
am I.
wrong with you? What the hell are you hearing? Did I say the Raptors played badly tonight? No. I criticized their first quarter effort. I criticized their starting lineup synergy defensively and potentially their scheme ability. But I say overall, this was a professional win. Go check the description. I said a win here would be huge because it would show that this team is growing up, right? Yeah, this is a team that, honestly, if we're being real, probably could be. I mean, they're 8-5, right? How easily could this team be 10-2?
And it hurts my feelings looking at that 5-game stretch.
Yeah, that opening stretch where you don't bring it against Dallas, you don't bring it against Milwaukee to close out. You complete you have this comedy of errors in that second game against Milwaukee with Emmanuel Quickley and all the mistakes that were made. You go on that 4-game losing streak. Now, I'll give you San Antonio, Houston, and possibly at Philly. Those are 3 road games, tough road games. Raptors played a ton of road games to start the season. I mean, my God, look at the road games. We have played
we haven't played at home at all.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 road games.
Out of 13.
Out of 13. Yes.
Yep.
Now, you're going to have like some home games here, but you need to capitalize, right?
Mm-hmm.
You lost to Houston at home. You lost to Milwaukee at home. I think the Houston game was probably just too much size. It's just way too much size. With Jakob Poeltl walking around the way he was, couldn't beat them. I believe that Milwaukee game was winnable. I believe at Dallas was winnable. So you take those 2 losses off, you're 10-3.
Yeah, you really lost on the margins. I mean, at least in the Dallas game particularly, I think you really lost on the margins. And I honestly think, and the thing is as well, like even if you look a bit down, like the Philly game, the second night of back-to-back and everything, and I know we said it was a scheduled loss, and I literally called in and said that it, like, people shouldn't really worry, but I generally think with Jakob, that game, I think you generally could have probably won. Like, I like, you just didn't have size. You really just didn't have size that game. But I genuinely think if Jakob plays that game, you probably could have won, or at least kept it much closer than it was. So a healthy Jakob. But yeah, so
I actually asked the last caller a personal question. I'll ask you a slightly personal question. You can share it if you want.
Yeah.
When you were younger, I have no idea how young you are. How old are you?
I'm 22.
22. Okay, perfect. So you just got through school. Perfect. You just got
Well,
through
I'm still
high
in school, but yeah.
Well, you just got through high school at least, and
Correct,
you're now in college. Okay, in high school, if you, okay, actually bring it back to grade school. Bring it back to like grade 8. If you brought home a report card and you had 15 grades on that report card and 10 of them were A's and 5 of them were B's, are your parents happy?
I mean, not thrilled, but not like mad. I would say like decent. Okay, decent.
Okay. So
given the standards, but yeah.
10 A's and 5 B's. Okay, perfect. How about 10 B's and 5 C's?
Yeah, that would be a whooping.
You get whooped.
Absolutely.
You get whooped for 10 B's and 5 C's. I had a classmate in grade 8. His mom made him a deal. Okay. She said, if you manage to get at least 3 C's on your report card, I'll get you a new video game system. I had a deal with my own mother in grade 8, which was if you manage to not get a single B on your report card, I will get you a video game. It was like a 1 video game. I think it was Killer Instinct Gold, that video game that I really wanted. My mom said, if you manage to not get 1 B. Now, when I tell that story to people, they're like, so what does that even mean? I said C's were out of the question for me. So she was saying get 15 straight A's and you can get this video game. And if you don't get 15 straight A's, and you know what I did? I got 14 A's and I got a B in gym. Fucking hell, man. I was an athlete. I got a B in gym. My point is, people don't understand that unless they grew up with that. They'll never understand that. But their life is a reflection of that too, right? They don't have ambitions for themselves. They get a couple wins. And they're like, oh, great. We got a couple wins. You know? Good teams are relentlessly ambitious. I think that's what I'm trying to hammer home in this live.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
it's interesting to know that our community comes from, you know, kind of that like crazy parents who are like, okay, A's or what? But you know what? I don't know how much you've thought about this because you're 22, and I don't know how much you've thought about this because I didn't think about this when I was 22. But do you feel like your parents did you a favor by kind of setting that standard for you?
Absolutely. I'm in law school now, and I wouldn't have been there if it wasn't for them. So, absolutely.
That's exactly it. Because when a parent says, if you can get three C's, I'll give you, you know, whatever you want. Just get 3 C's because you've been getting F's and you've been getting D's. Can you make it to 3 C's? You know what that parent is telling that kid? This is what I expect from you. This is what I expect from you. I expect 3 C's. And then that kid, when he gets the C, he's happy because he hit the bar. I remember when I was right around your age, actually, I started making side money tutoring kids in high school. And I was in university. I was in the University of Toronto. And I would take on like D students. A lot of D students would call, you know, like their parents would call and be like, my son is failing math in grade 6. I'm really worried. And I was like, okay. And I would walk into there. And my first order of business with that kid is, I'm not going to treat you like a D student. That was my first order of business in my head. I refuse to treat this kid like a D student. I'm going to treat you like an A student. So when they'd be frustrated, I would be like, no, you have to get this. I would never like lower the bar for them. Every student, with the exception of one student that I tutored over that 1 year stretch, improved their marks so drastically. They still send me emails. Now I'm in law school. Now I'm in med school. You're the first person that ever believed in me. And it's like, truly, I don't even know you enough to believe in you. All I did was I held you to a higher standard than the people that are ruining your life. And I think
Absolutely.
that sports fans can probably learn something about life from this. Don't expect less from your kids, and don't
Yeah.
like expect less from your team. You know, if your team puts a shit effort out there, feel free to say that was a shit effort. It's okay. Now don't go at the players on Twitter and start burning their jerseys because that's psychotic. But if you can just say like, this is a bad effort, this is a bad effort, you know, it's
Yeah.
perfectly fine. So the people who are just like, yo, we can't be critical after a win, those are the people, in my opinion, that got video games for getting C's
Yeah.
because you
Yeah, you're
passed.
right. And that's the thing, like you get seen as a pessimist. Like even like I'm gonna be honest, this game, like I
Are you
get it. I don't want to
pessimistic?
ruin
Are you
ruin
pessimistic?
the vibes in here. No, I'm not pessimistic at all, but I'm saying I would be coined as a pessimist for that. That's my point. So it's
Well,
like
actually, I'm asking, like, are you in your day-to-day life, are you pessimistic?
absolutely not.
Are you optimistic?
Absolutely, yeah.
No
Yeah.
stuttering. He's
Yeah.
optimistic. And I agree. I can hear it in your voice that you're optimistic. And I think that's why I'm talking to you for as long as I am, because I feel that you're optimistic. I
That's
feel a
the
lot of
thing.
people, yeah.
I like that's the thing. And I said this last live like a couple lives ago as well. I'm like, I know that this team can genuinely, and I don't care who clowns me for this, and I've fought my friends on this and fought family on this. I genuinely think that this team is not even one move away. I think generally with this rotation can be a top 2 team in the East. I don't know if you're even as high as I am on them, but I think that that's their ability. So that's why when they come against a team like the Pacers and they start that first quarter the way they did, I get it. They won the quarter. Yeah, sure. Maybe that like the same way you're saying that C that person who was expected to get a C would sit there and be like, okay, well, yeah, they started not great, but at least they won the quarter and try to get some silver lining. I really expect them to do much better than that. Like we've learned so much more than this. We've done so much more than this. So end of the day, if we keep lowering the expectation of this team will never be successful. They run on what we as you as part of the media and us as the fan base, like we all set our expectations based on exactly what it is we mentally see this team as. So if we let them know or make them feel like we think that they're the play-in team, then guess what? They're probably going to be a play-in team at best. But if we let them know, and obviously, and I think that's the difference between this season and last season. Granted, there's other differences, but I think last season the expectation going into the season was, guys, this is going to be a developmental year, and that's what we went into. That was the expectation for everyone. So everyone was sort of okay with us losing a couple games, going on a losing streak, sort of maybe not playing as well in some games, developing Scottie as point guard abilities, like all that stuff.
Right.
Like I think we were so much more tolerant to that.
Do you
But
follow
this
other
season,
Raptors channels and stuff? Like, do you listen to other Raptors media and stuff?
I can't stand them personally.
Well, I'll tell you because I listen to other Raptors media. I found them to be extremely pessimistic last year.
Yeah.
There was talks about Darko, Scottie's process, Emmanuel Quickley's contract, all of it. This team is stuck in the mud. This team's not tanking enough. They were so pessimistic. You know who wasn't pessimistic? Me. Was fucking positive as hell.
And neither
You know
was
who-
I.
But you know what's interesting? I was pessimistic as hell when they were 41-41.
Are you talking about the Fred VanVleet? Yeah.
yeah.
I
that
agree.
year.
I agree.
I was
Absolutely.
pessimistic as hell, and people were like, "But we're winning," and I'm like, "But you're about to fall off a fucking cliff."
Yeah.
Like, do you not see the fucking
And
cliff?
anyone could have conceivably saw that coming. Like you know what I mean? Like every move leading up to that season and that point was bound to fail. The Jakob Poeltl move, everything. Like, so it's just I don't know. I don't understand people that see you as pessimistic, or see anyone who thinks that after a win like this that they're not necessarily happy with the win as a pessimist. Like I'm personally, I'm telling you right now, and to everyone who's in here, I'm personally not happy with this win. I'm sorry. I thought we could have played much better. I thought we could have blown this team up by 40, in my opinion. And it was literally right there. They really did not play well at all. Like they just didn't. The Pacers did not play any well at all. To say that
Yeah.
only 2 of their players showed up is an understatement. Like they really didn't play well at all. So I really think you could have probably blown them up by 40. You blow them up by 15. Sure,
Yeah.
most of it was because of the bench, but you definitely could have done better
Steve
this game.
McKinnis said, if this was UFT, I can get behind strapping for A's thing a bit. Winning in sports is harder than A's in high school. It's really not, but I get what you're saying. The concept behind the thing is the same. You go out there every single night expecting to win and holding yourself to a high standard, right? Nobody's going to score perfect on every test that they take. And maybe the bar to winning a basketball game in the NBA is like getting 96% on a test, as opposed to getting an 80, right? It's like getting a 96 or 95. And maybe that's the point. You measure yourself against yourself. I know this is not a life coaching, channel, but this is the best advice that I think anyone can ever give anybody, which is don't compete with other people, compete with who you used to be, and compete with who you're going to be. Compete for who you're going to be and compete with who you used to be. You want to be better every single day, and you want to have a
100%.
certain standard of you playing basketball. Look, man, like I remember meeting Kevin O'Neill for the first time. He's one of my favorite coaches in Raptors history, and people couldn't stand him, but I loved him. And it was really cool to just witness how he held players accountable after a tough, showing, even when they won. Like if a player didn't rebound, he would just be like, yeah, you need to get out of the fucking glass. 2 rebounds, 3 rebounds, unacceptable for you. And I think a lot of people, they expect their fandom, because they use sports as a distraction, right? They're like, after a win, I just want to talk about how my team is going to be beating Denver, right? And OKC, right? So if I come out here like a fucking clown and I'm just like, yo guys, we've arrived. We just whooped this team by 30. We're better than OKC. I think we would have more subscribers. Probably have more followers, probably have more likes, probably get a lot more money. It's profitable to be fake. But I'm not going to do that because that's not what I see. It's also profitable long-term, to be honest. And the honesty here is that a win can be bad and a loss can be good. After the Philly loss, I was optimistic. I feel like the team had no business competing on that night. They were thoroughly outmatched. They've started a 6'7", 6'8" center and somehow competed in that game. I thought it showed a lot of grit. I feel like that Philly loss, ironically, there's 2 turnarounds in this season, 2 turning points in this season, and I'll point to them right here. Turning point number 1, the win against Cleveland. You bend but don't break. You bent in Dallas and broke. You bent in Milwaukee and broke. You played 2 games back to back, hung over basically against San Antonio and Houston. Body language looked like shit. Defense looked like shit. Yak looked like shit. You go.
Those games were a blur, honestly. Yeah.
You go into Cleveland. you start out well. You're like, we got the monkey off our back against a really weak team. Look at us. And then you give it up. And Darko makes the adjustment, puts Jameson Battle in the game. That game turned around this season for me. You carry
I
that
agree.
good vibe into Memphis, Milwaukee. You get a good, feel-good revenge tour against Milwaukee on the second night of a back-to-back. You get to pad up a little bit against Memphis, where without Ja Morant, and quite frankly, are a really bad team this year. Milwaukee is a really mid team. Atlanta was without Trae Young. They are a mid team as well. You somehow beat them. Then you go into Philly and you compete really hard. And I don't think Darko was mad after that loss. I really don't. I think he came out there and saluted his team. And I feel like that was another turning point in the season. That Philly game was a turning point for me, at least, that this team is serious, because they could have come out after 4 straight wins and just be like, we're going to drop one here. There's no point in competing. We don't have a center. Scottie's outmatched. Joel's doing whatever the fuck he wants. But they did compete.
They were very close all game. Yeah.
They did, because that's what I said after that game. There was a home run, a knockout blow that Philly was trying to throw all night. And you're like Rocky Balboa. You just keep getting up and you're like, nope, you're not going to knock me out. Nope, you're not going to knock me out. That loss moved you to 5-5. And I think from that point on, you've just taken care of business against teams that you should beat. I think that Cleveland game was the first game all season that you won that you probably should not have won. That's the first one. Good teams win games they're not supposed to win. Right? So that's the first time. And you know what? That Cleveland team was down today by like almost 10 points against Charlotte. I think they were facing Charlotte.
Yeah, they were. Yep.
So
wait, was it Charlotte? Or was it?
Who was it?
No, because I think Charlotte played OKC.
It was Memphis. Sorry, it was Memphis.
Memphis,
and Ja Morant actually got hurt in the first quarter.
Yes.
So
yes.
Memphis, and it was close. It was really close. They were down like 4 or 5 points in the fourth quarter, and then they just turned it around. So again, like, you beat Cleveland. I don't think 8-5 is not moving me. The process of 8-5 is what's moving me in the positive direction.
Yeah.
And while I may not be with you in terms of like, okay, they can be second in the East, certain things have broken right for this team that they could be second in the East. But I will remind you, you were very, very, very young when this happened. So I pardon me. But in 2006, the Toronto Raptors were a 47-win team. I'm assuming you don't remember that at all because you were basically a baby. But in 2007, the Toronto Raptors revitalized around Brian Colangelo's new core of Jorge Garbajosa, Anthony Parker, Andrea Bargnani, Chris Bosh, TJ Ford. It was just such a fun team. I loved that team so much. That team, and on the last day of the season, if I'm not mistaken, that team hit a crazy shot against the Washington Wizards, Mo Pete on the buzzer beater. And they ended up facing Vince Carter in the first round. They were the 4th seed. Vince and the Nets were the 5th seed. Any guesses as to what happened in the playoffs?
I'm not entirely sure, but enlighten me.
The Raptors lost. They lost. And it's ironic because in 2014, when we finally broke through with Kyle Lowry and We the North, we once again faced the Nets. This time with Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett. And once again, we were the higher seed. And guess what? We lost. 2 times that this organization turned a corner, went to the playoffs the first time with a core that had been building to that point for a bit. Chris Bosh had been building up to get to the playoffs for a while. Just he had never been there. He finally got there and got smoked by Mikey Moore. So, whether it is fuck New Jersey or fuck Brooklyn, from Masai Ujiri, shout out to Masai Ujiri. The point here is being a number 2 seed in the conference doesn't mean you're the second best team in the conference when it matters. Right? I remember the Dallas Mavericks were the number 1 team in the league and then lost to the 8th seeded Golden State Warriors with Baron Davis, the We Believe Warriors. I mean,
look at the Cavs the last 2 years. They've been probably the best season team, and then they go to the playoffs and they fumbled twice. So yeah,
absolutely. And in 1999, the New York Knicks were the 8th seed, and they made it to the finals. So it's like the point is not the seeding. The point is not these individual wins. Sorry, I can hear myself for some reason. Yeah, the point is not all these things. The point is not like individual wins. The point is not seeding. The point is not Scottie scoring 20 points. The point is not Ingram scoring, 30 points. This is not the point. The point is playing your best basketball in May, right?
Mhm.
April, May. That is the point of this entire season is development, synergy, and all that stuff. Now, if you make this trade that a lot of people are proposing, where you trade RJ for a defensive upgrade, you're gonna have to take some time to integrate that player. The longer the runway to integrate that player to see if it works or not, because deadline trades are final. You're taking that team to the playoffs. So if you trade RJ for Herb Jones and you add a first round pick or whatever the fuck you do to that trade to get it done, and it doesn't work, there's no runway. You can't change. You can't change the roster,
Mhm.
right? So trade deadline deals, you better be really sure about them, and you better be
Absolutely.
sure about the player that you take back, right? And I personally, I would get ahead of the trade deadline and I'd make a move a lot sooner, like probably December. But that's just me.
Mhm.
That's what I would do. And I know a lot of people want to stick it out with this core and see what they can do because they're 8-5. But the 8-5 is a mirage. It doesn't matter. That's not the point. The point is, I thought this team was going to make the playoffs. If you told me at the start of the year this team was not making the playoffs, I'd be like, what went wrong? So just because other people had low ambitions for this team doesn't mean we all had to have low ambitions for this team.
I agree.
Most of the people in this community were locked into the idea that this is a playoff team. And right now they're playing like a playoff team. The only reason that 8-5 is even remotely surprising is because the Raptors had a hard schedule to start. That's it. And honestly, their schedule was hard because of these teams being theorized at full health. Right?
Mhm.
When we started the season, Cleveland was supposed to be a juggernaut. They are not. Indiana was supposed to be a play-in team. They're playing like a bottom feeder. Atlanta was supposed to be a contender, potentially. They are not, right? Houston was supposed to have Fred VanVleet and was supposed to be the second best team in the East. They are not. So there's a lot of things that have gone wrong for a lot of teams. Like I refuse to buy into this. But the truth is, right now, it's like, who are the really good teams right now that you're really scared of if you're the Raptors? Like, if I show you the schedule, where's the definitive loss?
I was just looking at it like the other day, and I was looking, and I'm like, I this is the thing. This is why I told you, like, I think I believe in this team maybe more than others. But I'm looking, and I'm like, I don't think there's a single team here that I think we can't beat. Like,
OKC?
I,
You think we can
okay,
beat
with
OKC?
the exception of OKC and maybe the
Denver?
Spurs, just because I don't think we have the talent to guard Wemby.
I
I
actually
think we
think
can
we
beat
have the
Denver
best match.
personally.
I think we have the best matchups for Wemby in the league. That's a controversial take. I think Scottie
Mm,
Barnes and CMB are the best matchups for Wemby. I think that's the type of player that's the best for him. In
I
fact,
don't know.
Draymond Green is the archetype to stop a Wemby. You get into his handle, you get into his dribble, you scout him out. He's probably 2 years away from just figuring it out. But
Mhm.
like for now, this version of Wemby that we're seeing in 2025, yeah, I would put Scottie and CMB on him and just shut down his dribble.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, man, thanks for calling in. Any final
Yeah.
thoughts?
No, honestly, my final thoughts are like, again, like I think we need to echo what we've said. I think we need to keep pushing this team expectations wise. We know it's a good team. We can see it. We know what they're playing like. They're a fun team. We haven't seen. I've been a fan for like a really hardcore fan for like 5-6 years now. Trust me, I've been on the on the side of very terrible losing teams. And I cannot tell you the pain of watching DJ Wilson and Delano Banton and all these guys start for us just a couple of years ago. So I think we deserve this, but at the same time, that doesn't mean that we don't strive for better. And I think this community needs to continue to push for that. And we as a collective need to do that for this team to actually be successful. So I think we just need to keep holding them accountable, even in the wins,
Appreciate
which
you,
I think
man.
we have been doing. But yeah, thank you.
Appreciate you, man. Thanks a lot.
See you, man.
Peace. Okay, some cool calls tonight. I think everyone's, generally saying the same thing. We need to make a trade, right? And what a blessing that is. You ever think about that? Like what a blessing that is? You are 8-5. Let me paint the picture for you. Last year you were not 8-5. You didn't win your first road game until like your 10th road game. We were still talking about trades. There's a fine line between overcomplicating, overthinking things, not being a joyous fan, being too miserable, etc. Right? There is that. There are the people out there that want to tear apart perfectly good playoff teams that have a bright future because they want lottery balls, because that's the way they've kind of learned to consume the game. I understand that there's that version of fandom, and I don't appreciate it. I don't get it, but I understand why it exists, because it was set and forth by, the process Sixers. I will remind you that the process Sixers have lost so much basketball over the last 10, 12 years, and they have yet to make it out of the second round of the playoffs. It takes more to do it the right way. And the right way is, you don't think about one championship. You don't think about two championships. You don't think about one playoff round. You don't think about one lottery pick. You think about a system, like a culture and a standard that you set across your organization. A standard for defense, a standard for accountability, a standard for leadership, a standard for community engagement, a standard for scouting. This permeates, resonates throughout your entire organization. Every person who comes in says, "Oh, I work for the Toronto Raptors." They're a serious organization. A couple of years ago, I'd say 3 years ago to 4 years ago, I still felt like the Raptors were a serious team. And it's kind of funny because my life has I'm so old at this point. Like, I'm 37. I'm about to be 38 on November 26th, which is just crazy because I'm 10 days away, which I just realized that I'm 10 days away from turning 38 years old. That's insane to me. Now, I have watched a lot of Raptors in my life. I remember in 2001 when Vince sort of dug the Raptors out of like obscurity and kind of the joke franchise, joke organization, and put them on the main stage. It was cool to wear a Raptors jersey. It was cool everywhere in the world to wear a Raptors jersey. 2004, 2005 comes, the Raptors make a disastrous trade. Vince Carter goes to New Jersey. You don't have a marquee talent to replace him. The winning stops, obviously. You don't make the playoffs for a couple of years or a year and a half or whatever, you tank. And you'd already been kind of losing the equity that you built up in 2001 with that playoff run. And man, oh man, it felt like the Raptors were a joke again. And then they had that one blip year, 2 years where they kind of made the playoffs. They were a really middle team, but still an expansion team with no championships, no top 5 talent. Andrea wasn't moving anybody. Bosch left. And suddenly it just became like a downtrodden sort of organization that people kind of came to run out the clock. People didn't take it seriously. I think a lot of players that you talk to or hear talk on podcasts, they were just like, they got drafted to the Raptors and it wasn't a good feeling. They got signed by the Raptors and they were just like, whatever, it's like a final thing. People bring that energy to your organization, like they find out that they just signed to the Raptors. That thought, I just got signed to the Raptors, got traded to the Raptors, got drafted to the Raptors. That holds weight, man. That holds actual weight. Okay. And the truth is, I got drafted to the Celtics. I got drafted to the Raptors. Say those two statements out loud if you're an NBA prospect in 2010, and the feeling that it evokes is very different. And it's different for a reason, because the Celtics are a legacy organization and you are not. And so I think the equity that was built up between 2014, why people should always be very thankful to Dwayne Casey, DeMar DeRozan, Kyle Lowry, Terrence Ross, even the guys who didn't stay around, Jonas Valanciunas, because they put a lot of sweat equity to turn this brand around, man. It took a lot. It took a lot to change losing culture, losing ways, and to set a new standard for accountability, defense. We're a team that's going to make the playoffs. Not making the playoffs is unacceptable. They make the playoffs, they make the playoffs, they make the playoffs, they make the playoffs. They stick it out with the same coach, same star player, same, core pieces, and they keep losing. Lowry chokes one year. DeRozan chokes every year. It's just a continuity thing. Maybe we'll fix this thing. Maybe we'll fix that thing. Where was Masai too stubborn? Sure, probably could have turned them into a championship contender a year sooner. But the point here is those years of winning 52, 53 games were not for naught. It changed the identity of what it meant to play for the Toronto Raptors. Suddenly, the Raptors were no longer the expansion team that never won and couldn't keep their guys. Rather, the Raptors were the team that DeMar DeRozan wanted to retire with. The Raptors were the team that was scrappy, that always made the playoffs but never could get past LeBron. The Raptors were the team that found all the undrafted gems and really developed guys. The Raptors were the culture team, the vibes team. And that image changed how people came to this organization. They changed how Pascal Siakam, OG Anunoby, Fred VanVleet, Norman Powell, all the guys who came into this organization. And I guarantee you that it had a lot, maybe that dance that Scottie Barnes did on draft night where he got up and he exclaimed, he was a basketball fan the night the Raptors won an NBA championship. He was a he was probably not a Raptor fan. He was an NBA fan and consistently watching NBA basketball through the entire We the North. So when he got here, his first thought was, I want to bring us back to the playoffs. That's where we belong. That's where this organization belongs. I wonder if he would have felt the same way if he was drafted to the Charlotte Hornets. It takes a lot to turn a loser into a winner. So it's probably best to just keep your winner a winner. Right now, the Toronto Raptors, for the last 3-4 years, have been a bit of a joke, if we're being real. When I bring up the Raptors on the panel, people always bring it up. It's not a good team. They're a trash team. They're a mid team. They're never going to go anywhere. Scottie Barnes is not a real franchise player. RJ Barrett is an overpaid contract. Emmanuel Quickley is overpaid. Jakob Poeltl is a bum. Blah, 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 blah. And that carries because these are people and these are opinions, and that opinion carries. So right now, if you continue to tank and be mediocre and be crap and not make any deep playoff runs year after year, if you become satisfied with like 42 wins and a playoff berth and getting bounced in the first round, you're just fading further and further from that bright, illuminating light that Kyle Lowry and the Raptors created for this organization. Now, I'm not thinking about this in terms of Ted Rogers' pocketbooks and money, because that's certainly a part of it. I don't care about Ted Rogers' money. I don't care about his books or, the value of the Toronto Raptors for Rogers. I can give a shit less about that. What I do care about as a Raptor fan is, what does it mean when you think of Toronto Raptors? What is the 4 things that come to mind? And I don't want one of them to be losing, and I don't want one of them to be the Jonte Porter betting scandal, and I don't want negative things associated with the team that I follow. Why would I? I'm a fan as well as an analyst. And as a fan, I want different things than I want as an analyst. As a fan, I really want RJ Barrett to stick it out. I really do. I think the hometown kid thing is a really big thing, and it will maybe pave the path for other young players in Canada to maybe see RJ Barrett succeeding at this level, and maybe even make them want to grow up thinking, I can do what RJ did, play for the Raptors. I want to play for the Raptors. That's the hope. As a fan, that's how I feel. That's how I actually feel as a fan. I promise you, that's actually how I feel. How I feel as a fan is Scottie Barnes should be a top 5 MVP every year. Like, that's how I feel as a fan. As an analyst, I think Scottie's like a top 20 player. Top 15 is pushing it. Top 20 is right around where I think he is. I think RJ Barrett is a average starter in the NBA who presents a cascading number of problems and solutions depending on what roster he's on. I think on a team like Portland, RJ Barrett is amazing because he does things, and the things that he doesn't do can be masked by their considerable length and wings. If you just replace RJ Barrett with Shaedon Sharpe, does the Portland team get that much worse? No, not really. So that's the context. It's context dependent, right? Just like Dylan Brooks and Draymond Green and Rudy Gobert are all context dependent. Players are context dependent. It depends on the other 4 players with them. I don't think he's what Shannon thinks he is. I don't think he is what a lot of people think he is. I certainly don't think he's a star. I saw a video by Raptors Digest today that suggested he might be an all-star because the NBA changed their format to allow international players. Dude, the 4th best player in the Toronto Raptors is not going to be an all-star, no matter how many international players they allow. They want 8 international players. First of all, kind of helps that 4 of the best players in the league are international players. And then the next 4 up there are so far and away better than RJ Barrett that you are basically relying on injuries to 4 players in order to push him into this, all-star talk. It's not going to happen. I don't think the Raptors will get 2 all-stars this year, if I'm being honest. And if they do get 2 all-stars, it'll probably be Scottie Barnes. And is it crazy to say Emmanuel Quickley can make an all-star team? Like, would that be insane? It's probably going to be Ingram. It's probably going to be Ingram and Barnes, man. That's just how the league sees the Raptors. They see it as Ingram and Barnes, or Barnes and Ingram, whichever order. The league will be lazy about this stuff. And also, Brandon Ingram deserves a lot of credit for what he's doing. Shannon saying 4th best player. Yeah, what do you think? He's their 3rd best player, 2nd best player? I mean, I don't even think I want to know. Like, you probably think he's their 2nd best player, but no, he is not better than Scottie. He is not better than BI, and I don't think he's better than Quickley. But that's kind of where I'm at. You know, the pull-up jump shooting is valuable. Pull-up jump shooting is very valuable. Paint finishing is valuable. Abu saying, does Scottie count as international? No, he doesn't. But he will make it either way. Whether it's international, if it's international, he's the 4th pick. If it's American, he's probably like the 6th pick. IQ has been better than RJ. LOL. Have you watched the last 4 games? Over the last 5 games, yeah, he has been easily, considerably. Over the first 8 games, I'll give it to RJ. I would give it to RJ. First 8 games, last 5 games, I give it to Quickly. And over their careers so far, I don't think you even want to see the comparisons. Yes, I think there's a reason why the Raptors paid Emmanuel Quickly $32 million, even though I think I have a problem with $32 million. Anyways, let me not distract myself with what Shannon thinks. My point was, I think that a deep playoff run here would do a lot to put the league on notice, to boost the value of the players on this team, right? I think it would do a lot to cement the reputations of guys like Brandon Ingram, RJ Barrett, Scottie Barnes, whatever. So I fully hear the argument that just go trade Ochai Agbaji, dip under the tax, right? Because that's one big problem the Raptors have right now is they have a tax bill that they don't want to pay. And being under the tax, if you're an NBA team, gives you a nice hefty bonus. And we know Rodgers ain't leaving that bonus. So everyone thinks you got to trade RJ. You don't have to trade RJ. You can actually trade Ochai for, 2 mediocre minimum contract kind of guys. Give up a 2nd round pick in that exchange. Pray that one of those guys is better than Ochai. And there's your tax savings. It's not that bad. It's not bad. That's not that bad at all. So, like, someone's saying get Keon Ellis. That will not be cheap. But the Kings are crazy, so maybe it will be cheap. Anyways, my point is a deep playoff run would do a lot to cement the trade value. And then in the summer, when you think about Brandon Ingram as a concept, he's no longer like this terrible player who didn't work out in the Olympics. And no, actually, Brandon Ingram is the brilliant, discounted all-star who makes $40 million a year next year, who just saved the Raptors half-court offense. If you want to trade Emmanuel Quickly, for those who do not like Emmanuel Quickly, he's no longer like this albatross $32 million contract. He's the $32 million discount point guard who, with the increasing cap and increasing CBA, is this lights-out pull-up jump shooter who actually performed well for a 52-win team. Winning changes value of everything. I remember in the offseason, I suggested trading our 1st-round pick in 2026, and people thought I was fucking crazy. Do you know what the value of our 2026 1st-round pick was before we started winning? It was so high. But now that you are winning, it's so low. All your future picks that I wanted to trade, all the future picks I wanted to trade for a real star in the offseason, the value of those picks is now gone because people have seen the vision of what you can be. And the further you go down this road, the less those picks will be worth, but the more your players will be worth. And that's the point. The exchange is like rent to interest rate. It's a inverse relationship between the value of your picks and the value of your players. Right now, Pascal Siakam is worth less than he was 8 months ago, 6 months ago, 4 months ago. Buying low, right? Brandon Ingram, you bought low. Okay. Brandon Ingram, 3 years ago, coming off an all-star team, or 4 years ago, coming off an all-star team, that dude cost you 4 first-round picks. Value is subjective. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. And as the Toronto Raptors win basketball games, I think some of us intelligently see a window to improve this roster long-term because we don't buy the bullshit. Now, if you buy the bullshit, please support this team. Give this video a like. Absolutely no problem. And, let's pray to God that we don't walk into the playoffs and get hunted, right? Every single time. Who's just saying we stole BI? I agree. Brandon Ingram was absolutely stolen from New Orleans. They don't want to pay him. And his agent wanted to get him paid. Raptors agreed to pay him. It's a free agent signing. In a lot of ways, Brandon Ingram is the best free agent signing in Raptors history. He's the biggest free agent signing in Raptors history. Right? Think about it. Isn't it? It's basically a sign and trade. Anyways, Johnny G saying center depth is my Christmas wish. Well, the Nets looked a hell of a lot better against the Orlando Magic when they had Day'Ron Sharpe. Shannon saying RJ was better than IQ versus Philly. They were equal versus Atlanta. RJ was better tonight. RJ was better than the Bucks. You are so off. IQ was better the 2 games before tonight. This is why can't take your opinion. Okay. The last thing I'm going to do tonight is I'm going to prove that Shannon is wrong. Why do I want to do that? I don't know. I don't know why I want to do that. Let me show you the 5 games that you're talking about. Hold up. So, over the 5 games that you are referring to, actually, hold on. I'm only going to talk 4 games because I don't even have the stats for the 5th game. Immanuel Quickley, over the last 4 games that you're talking about, has been 72% true shooting, 71.9% effective field goal percentage, 26% assist percentage with a 9% turnover percentage, and an 8 box plus minus. 8 box plus minus. I said that straight. 8 box plus minus. Hold on, let me pull this up. And I think anyone watching it can see the impact. Do you see that? Now, unless you think he had a negative 75 box plus minus game tonight or something crazy like that, which he didn't, okay? The Raptors are 3-1 over the last 4 and 4-1 over the last 5, and he has been really good. Really good. Okay? Now, I'm actually curious to see what RJ Barrett has done over that stretch because I have no idea. But I'm going to suspect that RJ Barrett did not have an 8 box plus minus last 5 games. I'm not going to talk about this game, but I will talk about the last 4 games. So here's RJ Barrett's stats over the same period of time. Negative 2.7 box plus minus, 23.6 usage, a 23.7% assist percentage, kept the turnovers low. That's dope. Remember those 72% true shooting percentage? RJ Barrett was 49.5% true shooting. Do you know that the difference between that? I'm sorry, Shannon. No calls. We're 3 hours into the show, bro. We're not going to have a debate about the validity of true shooting percentage. You can just take that up with me in the next game. But I will say this. League average true shooting is 58%. That's league average efficiency. RJ Barrett was 10% underneath that. Immanuel Quickley was 14% above that. The numbers are not lying to you, my guy. Immanuel Quickley has been better. Now, actually, I do want to prove something else to you. And I just want to actually compare these 2 players head to head. How's that? It's not going to prove anything to you because honestly, you don't care. And you don't like Quickley. And I frankly do like Quickley. Despite, some of the criticism I had of him earlier, I do think Immanuel Quickley is a really good player. I was happy when the Raptors traded for Immanuel Quickley, even though they traded one of my favorite players of all time to go get him. Shannon obviously did not hear me when I said I am not accepting callers. So, these are your stats. RJ shot modestly better from the field. He has a slightly higher effective field goal percentage through 12 games. This is not counting tonight, by the way. And Immanuel Quickley continues to win the analytics department. In terms of per 100 possessions, IQ averages more assists. They are not the highest value assists. He averages more steals. Overall, he averages more stocks in general. They average the same number of turnovers, even though Immanuel Quickley handles the ball a lot more. And honestly, in terms of per 100 possessions, 24 points on 18 field goals or 28 points on 21 field goals. You tell me what's more efficient. Honestly, it's not that big a difference. And I would say, of course you won't take the call. Dude, I'm almost 3 hours into a live. It is almost 1 a.m. You want me to talk to you about something that you clearly get heated about? I know 100%. I know my limits. I know what you've been saying, the entire chat. There's no way in hell that I'm going to have a peaceful conversation with you right now. This is called a boundary, okay? like it. Like we've had respectful discussions before, but like my God, man, are you gonna tell me that RJ Barrett was better over the last 4 games? We can argue about the season total. We could say, right? But there ain't no way over the last 5 games you're gonna tell me that RJ Barrett's been better than RJ Barrett. Been having a horrible IQ was 5 for 15 versus the Bucks. So what? You just box score watching? Did you watch the game? Did you think he had a bad game? No, I don't think you like IQ. I don't. I've never heard a positive thing about Emmanuel Quickly from you, bro. Anyways, that's okay. You don't have to like IQ. You don't have to like IQ. And he's not your boyfriend. Who the fuck cares if you like him, don't like him, whatever. All you have to do is understand that there's a reason why Emmanuel Quickly is seen as a very different level of asset across NBA circles, because his pull-up jump shooting is elite. He has been a cheat code for the Raptors in transition. His skill set is far harder to replicate, in my opinion. He is one of the top 25 to 30 shooters in the NBA. And honestly, he's fitting in. He's finishing around the rim. He is a pretty damn good player. He is a pretty damn good player. Okay. I know people don't like him. Whatever. I don't care. I think he's a pretty damn good player. All right. I'll talk to y'all later. Have a great one and enjoy your night. Do not let the discussion that sometimes veered negative on this channel dissuade you from thinking that we are anything but positive. We are positive. We are optimistic. And we will hold this team to the highest of highest standards because we believe that this team can be really damn good. Talk to y'all later. Peace. I'm glad you changed your tune. Hope he unblocks you. Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't really care. It's whatever. Peace, y'all. And please like this video. Just a last minute thing. Please like this video. I really appreciate it.